this, it is the land of cowboys and cattle ranches. Texas, it's a name when translated, means friends or allies. But that is not what you'll find here. Kyle Busch has pushed aside the competition, the rules, and the record book. But can he do it again for a fifth straight win at Texas Motor Speedway? Or will Busch be challenged to a duel by someone looking to take his turf? It's the NASCAR Nationwide Series from Texas Motor Speedway, and this is NASCAR Countdown.
10, 9, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, ignition.
Welcome to Texas Motor Speedway. It is race 7 of 35 on the 2010 NASCAR Nationwide Series schedule. And welcome to NASCAR Countdown, presented by Hellmann's. Brad Doherty tried earlier to no avail. Rain, go away. As you can see, rain surrounds Texas Motor Speedway right now. The entire area has been surrounded by this big green blob, moving in very slowly, and lucky us, it has arrived just in time for race day. Here's what we know. In the past, doesn't necessarily mean a little rain early on in the day. Won't mean we will hit the racetrack later on in the day. We do have high hopes. It was beautiful yesterday, though, and the guys went out to qualify. Greg Biffle looking to keep Kyle Busch from scoring a fifth straight win at Texas Motor Speedway. Biffle not going to have it easy, though. He did not make a qualifying run in practice, and when he went out in qualifying to go for it, he was just a little too loose. Biffle will start 42nd. On the opposite end of the field, Joey Logano. He rolled off fairly early in qualifying and laid down a lap good enough to stick for his third pole of the 2010 season. And Logano is standing by with our Vince Welsh.
Yeah, it's been an eventful weekend indeed for Joey Logano. Let's see, the GameStop, his primary sponsor, is just about 15 miles down the road. Got to visit there earlier this week. Served as best man at a wedding in Victory Lane yesterday. That's always got to be fun. And sitting on the pole for this race. What's been the highlight of the weekend so far?
I guess I'm going to go with the pole on that one, but I got to do a lot of cool things. Like best man at Victory Lane, a whole bunch of cool things. This is GameStop's headquarters here, so I got to see a lot of the guys over there. Did autograph session, meet a lot of the employees there, so that was pretty cool. And GameStop Toyota is pretty good. Weather doesn't look good, though, but looking forward to it. I think we're going to have a good race when we get to race.
Let's assume we get racing today. You've been on the pole 3 times as third pole this season, but not to Victory Lane yet. What's been then one thing that's kept you from getting where I know you want to be?
Man, I wish I knew. I'd tell you if I did. We've been fast. I mean, we've led a lot of laps. You know, Phoenix looks like we're going to win the race, and then caution come out with, 6 to go or so. So I don't know what we got to do. Things just haven't played in our hands. We've had fast cars. Our third pole. We just got to figure out how to win one of these. So the guys yesterday in the Cup side were laughing at me. I was sitting over there waiting for qualifying to end, and I got the pole, and I'm like, it's 3 this year. And they're like, how many wins you got? So I got to figure out how to seal the deal over here. But the other guys been doing good. Kevin and all the guys are putting out great race cars. So I'm pumped up about that. So I just feel like we gave away 3 wins this year. And the cool thing is this place here in Texas is usually not my strong suit, and I got a real fast car, so we'll see.
Why do you feel like Texas and this kind of track isn't your strong suit?
If I knew that, I'd tell you that too. I'm not sure. It just is. I couldn't tell you. But I feel like I got a good car. Even on the Cup side, I've struggled here in the past. I got a good Home Depot Toyota over there too. So we'll see. I know we're starting 19th over there, or 18th, and race trim are real good. So hopefully the weather holds out here at Texas and we can get 2 full races in.
Yeah, I'd never bet against him. He's been quick all season long, and he's going to be in Victory Lane very soon. I would assure you of that, Nicole.
Vince, thank you very much. Cars still in the Nationwide Series garages. They are staring dry, and there's the 18 of Kyle Busch. He will roll off third today. A race ago, though, he collected his 32nd Nationwide Series win, passing Jack Ingram for third all-time in series history. The win, though, did not come easily. In order to lead the lap that matters most, KB put on what he likes to call the KB Show.
The pace car has pulled down pit road here at the Bashas' Supermarket 200. It is Kyle Busch again on the high side. And just what you had talked about in our pre-race, Rusty, a huge 4, 5, 6, 7 car pileup right on the front straightaway.
Yeah, it looks like Kyle got out of the throttle a little bit right there, and it just let them all to start piling up behind him.
The race leader is now Brad Keslowski.
Put the 22 in front of you. That's bull.
Keslowski brings him down. He's at few inches ahead, and all of a sudden, here goes the 18. Now, did he jump too soon?
They're going to post the 18 car, and they're going to put his number up on the board and put the black flag on it.
The 18 has to do a pass-through pit road.
Now, you think you've seen Kyle Busch mad after a race before? Wait till he gets out of the car after this one.
There's still 50 laps left. He can still come back.
You're running everybody down, head over.
So after the penalty, here comes Kyle, and he's back into the race lead.
Yeah, nothing to it.
What a comeback.
This is incredible, man. Absolutely incredible. Burn that sucker down.
32 wins, and he's closing in on number 2 all-time. He's just 4 wins away from Kevin Harvick at 36 total wins. And Busch does like his records. He broke a bunch of them, 8 last season in the NASCAR Nationwide Series en route to his title, including most consecutive top 2 finishes. And Kyle Busch will be joining us in the ESPN Pit Studio coming up. And this is the shot from high above. The ESPN Pit Studio, centrally located between the start-finish line at Texas Motor Speedway and Turn 1. And inside the pit studio, joining you, I'm Nicole Briscoe, alongside a former NASCAR Sprint Cup Series champion, Rusty Wallace, and a NASCAR team owner, Brad Doherty. You know, we got to see this last week in Phoenix, the 2 sides of Kyle Busch. We've got the guy who is unstoppable and will do nothing but win a race, and then the guy who, for better or for worse, shows us exactly how he feels. Brad, how do those 2 guys mesh in the race car?
Well, I think we get to see Kyle Busch, once he straps into that race car, he does become a totally different person. He is a very high-strung, emotional young race car driver. And sometimes I wonder, though, with his emotions, and we listen on the scanners and those types of things, he really gets after his team, his pit crew, and those people who work for him and around him. And I wonder, Rusty, you know, you were a very emotional driver. You got after a lot of guys out on the racetrack, but you didn't seem to take it out on your pit crew guys. I mean, do you think that affects him overall and his ability to win even more races or championships when you do that?
Well, I can tell you, there's no way in the world they can possibly help it. Look, everybody knows Kyle Busch is a fantastic race car driver. He can get it done. He can close the deal late in the race. But you know what? You don't have to do it the way he's doing it sometimes. I mean, I like to be nice to my crew guys. Yeah, I might get upset at the drivers I'm driving against. But the crew guys, those are the cats backing me up. There's no way in the world I'm going to be hollering and screaming at those guys on the radio. Just not my style.
Yeah.
Now, before we can go ahead and look at Kyle Busch's drive for 5 wins here at Texas Motor Speedway, let's go back and look at what happened at Phoenix. This restart we're about to see, this is the one where Kyle is leading.
Yeah, see Kyle right there. Looks like he brake checks a little bit, doesn't go. And because of that, I mean, it really stacks up a lot of people in the back. Let's take a look at the right-hand side of your screen. See the 2 red lines there. He doesn't go. The single line doesn't go again. Keselowski takes off, and when he does, the field gets stacked up behind him. A huge wreck just because Kyle didn't go.
Now Brad, on the restart, is in first. Kyle is in second, and he just jumps.
Yeah, Kyle is just flat mad right now. He's upset. He nails the throttle before he's supposed to go, and when that happens, he gets penalized by NASCAR. They bring him in, and they go, hey, what in the world is that all about?
And here is the rule. The second-place car cannot pass the first-place car before the start-finish line if it is a proper restart. Right. And if they do pass them, they have to give that position back quickly. Obviously, NASCAR ruled that it was not a proper restart last week. But here's my question. Why is Kyle brake checking?
Well, you know, and I think that if we really look at it, and this has happened several times with Kyle, and Kevin Harvick had some issues earlier as well, when you are the leader of the race, because of this defined zone that you can take off in, you have the advantage. So you don't really have to play those games of brake checking or trying to outroll a guy and doing all those things, because only you know when you're going to go, and you know it's going to be in that specific area. But if you do not go by the time you get to that second line, it's fair game. They will throw the flag, and everyone goes. So I think you have the advantage, and I think sometimes Kyle and those guys who do these things are almost putting themselves at a disadvantage because they have to mess with so many other entities, like getting black flag, and if it's not what they call an abnormal start, where you spin the tires as the leader, everyone can pass you, you're just monkeying around and wasting time. You've got the advantage.
Well, Brad, Nicole, one of the problems I got with this, I mean, I hear all that stuff, and Brad's actually correct about what he said, but what about all those guys behind him that got wiped out? You're talking almost 12 or 13 people. A lot of young guys we talked about that are really scared for their jobs. They get wiped out in this crash because of this. I mean, if I was Kyle, I'd be thinking about that. Now, look, we're not going to doubt his driving ability. He just flat gets it done. But those guys in the back that got tore up, they don't care about that right now.
It was called collateral damage last week in Phoenix.
Yeah.
Well, you know what happens when it's rut at the racetrack before the race? The ESPN pit studio gets really, really busy. Coming up next on NASCAR Countdown, we've got the guests pouring in. Kevin Harvick, he has won at Texas Motor Speedway an awful lot. In fact, he is tied with Kyle Busch for most wins at this track. And then we continue our young guy conversation. Trevor Bayne joins us next on NASCAR Countdown.
NASCAR Countdown is presented by the mayonnaise that's real and delicious, Hellmann's.
Texas Motor Speedway a bit quiet considering we are supposed to be heading towards green flag, but we are hoping to hear those engines roar before the day is done. Standing by in the wet zone, though, is Dr. Jerry Punch with one of the young guys we were just talking about, Trevor Bayne.
Thank you very much, Nicole. And one of the feel-good stories at the beginning of the year that Trevor Bayne would run the full season as a 19-year-old here in the series. High expectations, Trevor, but at the beginning of the year, 3 top 15 finishes and 3 finishes of 30th or worse, including last week at Phoenix. So what's the mindset of this team right now?
Well, we just we got to keep digging. You know, we can't look at what we've done these last 6 races and get down on it. We just have to keep digging. You know, our cars have been fast every weekend. That's one positive thing we can take from it. We just got to get the luck on our side, man. Get everything rolling where it all lines up. You know, we've had fast race cars. We've been up front a lot of the time, and just things in racing that take you out. You know, if this was easy, everybody would be doing it, and you hear that all the time in this sport. But you know, this team is. They're working hard at it, and that's what matters. You know, we're trying to move forward, and sometimes that kicks you in the butt when you're trying new things. You know, you don't run like you want to, but you've always got to be trying to move forward. And I know that Jerry Baxter and those guys are always working, just trying to take us to the next level. And so even though we don't have the finishes, we still got a solid team behind us.
You mentioned Jerry Baxter. He said that the reason for optimism this weekend, you guys have the first ever in-house nationwide car built by Michael Waltrip Racing here, and it produced a pretty good qualifying effort in the top 15. How do you think you see your chances here today or tomorrow?
Well, we were worried on Thursday when we rolled it out. You know, we didn't really know where to start with it. It was kind of like a triad car like we've been running, but you know, we had no starting points with it. We hit the track down in turn 1 and 2, and we were holding our heads going, oh, what do we do this weekend? But we got it turned around on Friday, man. Those guys, they thought about it all night long, and that was one good thing about having the 2 separate practices this weekend with them changing the schedule. We got to go back and think about what we need to do to the car, and they've dialed it in. You know, we were 5th in practice, 14th in qualifying. The sun popped out right when we went out, and they got real slick on us. You know, and then there was a big cloud right behind us, so we're going, oh man. But you know, I think we got a really good car for this race. On long runs, it was really stout, so hopefully we get to make a long run, at least 101 laps anyways today, right?
Hey, well, good luck to you.
I appreciate it.
Results are important for this team because they only have sponsorship remaining for 6 races the rest of the year, so they got to run well here very soon. Jamie.
Well, Doc, another one of the young drivers going for Rookie of the Year actually this year is Brian Scott. And Brian, we got to talk about practice yesterday. It was very exciting for all those of us that were watching, especially at home. You hit the wall, had a lot of damage, and you guys came back to finish top of the board. How did you overcome that?
Well, our Dollar General Autism Speaks Toyota has a lot of speed in it, and everybody joked that I had to go out there and hit the wall to get some speed out of it. But no, we had a really good handling car, and we started chasing tires where we couldn't really tell what adjustments we were making. So Billy Wilburn called me into the garage. We put new tires on, didn't do a mock run or anything, just went out with race pressures and went out, and it felt like I had low air pressure right off the bat. It kind of moved me around, so I didn't think anything of it. And then when the pressures didn't build in a lap or so, I figured something was wrong, and I pointed James Boucher to the inside, but it was too late, and I didn't get slowed down in time and went into turn 1 and scraped the wall a little bit, mainly cosmetic, but guys did a great job at repairing it and you know, not letting anything really affect the handling of the race car and the speed of the race car. And then when we did go out and finally do a mock, we had a lot of speed, and we were really happy with it. Unfortunately, we thought that the track changed a little bit going into actual qualifying. And we made a little bit of air pressure adjustment, just got too loose. I thought that we had a shot for the pole, but we have a top 10 starting spot, and I think that we're going to have a really good Dollar General Toyota when the race time comes.
Well, I mentioned you're going for Rookie of the Year, and right now you're leading that point standing. And I actually talked to Todd Braun, your owner, and he told me that the success of this team so far has been a result of a lot of people being unemployed because you were able to bring together a nice group of individuals to get this team on board. What's it been like putting this team together this year?
Yeah, well, unfortunately, the economic climate's been really tough, and it's affected racing a lot with being such a sponsor-driven sport. And, you know, we need those people on the car. We need people like Dollar General and Autism Speaks and AccuDoc and BigSpot.com and all the sponsors that we've been blessed to have this year to go out on the racetrack. And it's been a tough time. And, you know, there's been some teams that had to make cutbacks, but it's been a great opportunity for us. We've been able to go out and get some really good people. And, you know, I think that we've shown it with our success early on. And our crew chief, Billy Wilburn's got a ton of experience. Been with Rusty Wallace, who's in the booth now. I'm sure he can speak a lot about Billy, and you know, it's really our whole team. Our whole teams have been guys that have been around the Nationwide and the Cup Series lot in the garage area forever, and I'm blessed to have them. Being a rookie, I need some experience in the you know, my actual garage stall, and they provide that and give me really fast Toyotas.
All right, Brian Scott will roll off 10th in his first appearance here at Texas in a Nationwide car. Nicole?
Thanks, Jamie. And you heard Jamie talking about Brian's goal this season to be the NASCAR Nationwide Series Rookie of the Year. After 6 races, he currently is leading the way over James Buescher, rookie Stenhouse Jr., and Colin Brown, who is 6 points back from Brian Scott. The guy who is not a rookie, but who won the title in the Nationwide Series last season and actually went on to sweep the last 2 seasons at Texas Motor Speedway. We're talking about Kyle Busch. This year marks the drive for 5. In the past, only 3 other drivers have been able to make 4 straight wins to turn it into 5 straight wins at one track. That would be Dale Earnhardt, Jack Ingram, and Jamie McMurray. At this track, Kyle really much has been unstoppable. 10 starts, 4 wins. Check out that average finish of 5.6. And by the way, those 4 wins tied for most with Kevin Harvick. And joining us now in the pit studio is Kyle Busch. Texas Motor Speedway, it suits you. Why?
I'm not sure exactly. It just sort of seems to click. You know, I figured something out here in 2007 and kind of hit on it and have been doing it ever since, and we've been winning some races here. 2008, swept them both. 2009, been getting better on the Cup side as well too. We were very close to winning last fall. Finished 3rd here, I think, 2008. So, you know, we've had some good runs here lately.
Buddy, congratulations for last week. That was a strong run. Dominating performance, no doubt about that. And going for 5 today, that's pretty strong right there.
Yeah, it is,
you know,
definitely.
but one thing that I've got to ask you, though, I mean, this track, we watched it yesterday in qualifying, very, very temperature sensitive. I mean, you saw guys fly early, running fast, and really slow up later on. And now with a new tire they got out here, green track conditions, man, what do you think your car is going to do when you start this race?
Well, I'm looking forward to it. You know, we practiced a little bit on Thursday with the overcast skies, and so everything we learned then, you know, we only ran about 9 laps, but we learned a couple things then, and then when it came back on Friday, we had some more practice, and then the sun popped out, and we saw the change in track temp and what it did to the cars. So we've got a sense that the speed really picks up, like you mentioned, when the clouds come out. So we're looking forward to it. It should be a fast race. You know, there should be a lot of speed, hopefully a lot of good handling race cars instead of sliding around with the sun.
You know, Kyle, we have a lot of young guys in this series that are struggling. We've been talking about that. And I heard Jamie McMurray make a real interesting comment yesterday. He said getting out of that Cup car and getting back into this Nationwide car, how difficult and how hard you have to drive this Nationwide car. You have a tremendous amount of experience in both. Can you tell us a little bit about that? Is it a hard car to drive? Do you have to drive it harder?
It is. I mean, you can really challenge the corners, and you can challenge yourself at driving the thing harder because the car has so much downforce. It has so much grip. The cars have come such a long way in a short period of time here. Just the last 3 years, we're doing things that we didn't even think about 4 years ago. But, you know, he mentions that because also the horsepower level. You know, we have the tapered spacers over here, so there's not a lot of power. You can really charge the corners. You can really step on the gas early and carry your momentum through the corners really hard. So the tendencies are so much different. But with the spoiler actually now on the COT over on the Cup side, it's brought that gap a little closer together.
Oh, really? Huh.
So that's been pretty interesting to note and to see. But to me, I've got calculations in my head that I know, okay, well, if I can do my Nationwide car like this, I know how much I got to back up or what I can do with my Cup car. And so having those calculations, I can pretty much give a basis on where I need to lift, where I need to pick up the throttle, and all that stuff. I know how much the cars are different.
And if we watched last week, he was very dominant in the Nationwide Series, and you put on a show in the Cup Series as well. But let's talk about Phoenix in the Nationwide Series, because you won your 32nd race, but you made it interesting on yourself. We want to go back and we want to look at the restart.
Sure.
Can you walk us through what you were doing and what you were thinking on this particular restart?
Sure.
This is the first one.
All right. Well, we're coming to the first line here, and Brad picks up the throttle. There's the first line and moves ahead of me. And so I was like, all right, fine, go ahead, you know. And then I waited until the second line, and I went at the second line, in which, you know, he was ahead of me that whole time. And so the second place car is not allowed to beat the first place car to the line. So I was looking to get him busted and should have got him busted. But if it wasn't for me having, you know, the stack up behind us, it would have been all right.
That'd be the second restart when Brad was awarded the lead.
This was just to kind of prove a point to see what NASCAR would do, and got exactly what I expected, which was the pass-through and the penalty. So
you felt he did the same thing in the first restart.
He started motioning ahead before the first line, or at the first line.
Right.
And I waited until the second line to go, which is in that zone.
Correct. Okay.
Okay.
All right.
And I went at the second line, but because everybody else behind me was following off what Brad was doing, it looked as if I brake checked. I didn't touch the brake pedal.
Okay.
I did not move my speed. You guys normally have the tracker on the car when you're on a restart that has the speed pointing down with the arrows to the car.
Yeah.
Y'all never showed that.
Yeah, we thought you.
So the speed, my speed never changed that entire time. Everybody was anticipating off the 22 car. That's why it looked so bad.
Well, NASCAR ruled it an improper restart, and we were talking with Joe Ballish earlier today, and he said, were you reminded of how to do a proper restart? And he said, well, we've reminded him, and he's been reminded by 42 other drivers in the garage. What was the reaction after last weekend?
I've talked to a couple other drivers. Harvick, even in the broadcast, mentioned that I did everything right. He said during his in-car, when Rusty, you asked him about what he thought of it, and he said Brad anticipated where I've been going the whole race and went at that point, and I waited until the end of the zone to go. And so he mentioned right there that I was in the right. And I talked to Ricky Stenhouse earlier this week. He said, or actually just in the driver's meeting, he said that the exact same thing. I just waited until the end of the zone to go. He saw that. Brian Scott said the same thing. A couple other guys. So to me, all the drivers were on my side except one, and that was the one that didn't get busted for it.
Yeah.
Well, you heard him mention Kevin Harvick. You can't see him at home, but I can. Coming up next, we're going to talk to Kevin Harvick. But as we talked about earlier, it's the drive for 5 most consecutive wins at one track in the Nationwide Series. Dale Earnhardt with 5, Jack Ingram with 5 at South Boston. What would it mean to you to add your name to that list?
It'd be pretty special. You know, it would definitely, those are two of the greats of all time, of course. Ingram in the Nationwide Series, Dale Earnhardt of NASCAR in general. So for me to be able to go out like that and win 5 in a row here would be awesome. I couldn't think of 2 better guys to be in the group with besides another one of my good friends, which is the late Sam Ard.
Well, we hope you get out there on the track today. Best of luck to you.
We do
and thanks,
too.
thanks for stopping by the pit studio.
Hey, Rusty, one of my crew guys said that he'd love to hang a body for you. Never done one before in his life, but he's looking forward to it.
Oh, really? Who is it?
Yeah, one of my crew guys.
Is he pretty good?
He's never fabricated in his life, but he'd love to do one for you. We were all joking around from what you guys were saying and about my yelling at my crew guys and stuff earlier. So I bet you've never done that before yourself.
I'll talk to him. How's that?
All right.
See, as long as I get a good deal out of him.
Have at it.
Okay,
See,
you got it, buddy.
settle in old scores as well. Coming up next on NASCAR Countdown, braving the rain and the raindrops to come talk to us. Kevin Harvick coming up next.
NASCAR Countdown is presented by the mayonnaise that's real and delicious, Hellmann's.
Kevin Harvick has made it to victory lane at Texas Motor Speedway a few times, like 4. March in 2001. Then again, he began the November streak. November 2005, he followed it up with his 3rd win at TMS in November of 06. And for good measure, he did it again, his most recent time in November of 2007. That would be 4 wins, which gives him the tie for most at this track, tied with the young man we just spoke to, Kyle Busch. 4 wins, most ever at Texas Motor Speedway, and all of that done, by the way, in just 11 starts, and not a bad average, 9.7. Kevin Harvick joins us now, and Kyle Busch threw you under the bus a little bit. We were talking about the restart at Phoenix. You said he didn't do anything wrong. So let's hear your side of the story. What do you think?
Well, I just assumed what happened. I hadn't watched it, but I just assumed what happened was he'd been taken off at the 2nd line, and then he went to the 1st. And that happens a lot at Phoenix. We've seen a lot of wrecks on the restarts there, because what happens is where the restart line is, you come to the line, and the back half of the field can't really see the flag. So, you know, if it starts starts going, the accordion effect gets worse as it goes back because they think they need to be going and wind up with a lot of bent-up hoods. So I just figured that was what happened. I hadn't seen the second part of it.
So moving on.
All right.
Take two.
Take two, moving on. This particular track, off of turn 2, we've seen a lot of problems there before. It looks like where the banking falls off, track kind of flattens out. Looks to be the trouble spot over there. Have you had any instances over there? Anything you're concerned about with turn 2?
Yeah, I've hit the wall several times over there, to tell you the truth. What happens is the track, you know, it just kind of flattens out really fast up off the corner, and if your car takes off, pushing, that one didn't push. I can promise you that.
From last year's
Yeah.
race.
So, you know, usually it winds up you can flat side the car pretty easily. So you wind up being really loose or really tied up off that corner, and you just got to find that fine balance of being in the middle. So you're usually one or the other, and if it snaps loose, it's pretty hard to catch up with.
You know, Kevin, I was asking Kyle earlier, it seems like a lot of the young guys, the really young guys in this series are struggling this year. And Jamie McMurray was saying yesterday when he got into that Nationwide car, how hard you have to drive that car. Do you think that's why we're seeing so many of these young guys struggle, simply because you have that tapered spacer on there and you really have to drive the guts out of this race car?
Yeah, you got to drive the crap out of it.
Yeah,
right? Yeah. I mean, it's one of those things where in order to go fast, you got to run the cars pretty free. And in order to do that, you got to know where that edge is. And I think, you know, a lot of those guys have to find out where that edge is to be able to run their cars that free, because they don't have a lot of horsepower, and especially on these types of racetracks, you got to be close to wide open all the time. But it's a pretty free wide open to make your car run fast enough to keep from bogging the power.
Hey, Kevin, really, really impressed this year with what you're doing with your team.
Oh, yeah.
And we talk about it all the time in here about why is Kevin's car going so well and so consistent. And I tell him, I said, I personally think because you're the onboard computer. You're the guy that's saying, let's do this, let's do that, instead of putting it all through different people and running different drivers through that car all the time. Have you been able to build consistency with this team just because you're staying in it?
We know exactly what balance I want in the race car. We know exactly how much front downforce we need. We know if we add more rear downforce, you know, what we got to compensate for. And so we know everything is built around what I do, and that's definitely the reason that it's probably a lot more consistent this year. And those guys do a good job of building the cars back at the shop. But we built our program around, I mean, to 0.5% of what the front percentage needs to be on the downforce, and the engines are really good from ECR right now, and have been for the last couple of years. But everything is just, we're so far ahead right now, and I feel like we haven't torn a lot of stuff up, knock on wood, so far. And you know, the only problem we've had this year has been the engine at California. So other than that, I mean, we're able to do more testing. We're able to do more wind tunnel time than we ever have before, and things are going well.
So here we are. You got the win at Nashville, and it's, what, race 7 of the season. I'd just like to put you on the spot today. It's going to be my job. What about the rest of the season? Are you going to play the onboard computer for the rest of the season?
I don't know. I mean, you know, it all just depends on where we are when we get to Charlotte. The intention really wasn't ever to run all the races, to be honest with you. So, but that's kind of how it wound up being in 2006 too. Everything kept going well, and you know, right now we're focused on just racing and just having fun, and it's a lot of fun right now. And the cars are running good. We've been fortunate to win. I've won a couple races myself, and Tony won at Daytona. So things are going good, and we'll just kind of see where we are. That summer stretch is the part that worries me the most, just because going from Sonoma to wherever we race that weekend on the Nationwide. Elkhart Lake. That's really the only one that's really hard.
So before we let you go, when we were sitting around talking earlier, we talked about the turn 2, we talked about the bump in the track, and we talked about the tires. When you do get out there today, how will the new tires, the new Goodyear tires, play a role in what you experience with your car?
Yeah, they fall off a little bit more than what we've seen in the past. You know, yesterday we really got a good glimpse of what track conditions do to the racetrack. We went out kind of late and right in the middle of the hottest spell of the qualifying period, and we're just dead sideways. So our car's set up, I mean, it's very loose, and when it freed up yesterday in qualifying, it was really loose. So it was kind of in hang-on mode. But, you know, I think if we race in these conditions, I think we made the right choice, which is kind of what we were banking on. But the tire fall-off is going to be the big story as far as who can keep their car turning all day to keep their times from falling off as much.
Kevin, are we going to see some really aggressive restarts and having to get it done the first 3 or 4 laps because the tires are so sticky and so good right off the bat?
Yeah, I think you know, if your car's not going right off the bat, you're going to be in trouble. This can't be a week that our car struggles on the restarts because the tires do have so much grip, and everybody around you is going to be able to be pretty much wide open on the restarts. So you got to go on the restarts because the tires, they do have a lot of grip, but the fall off comes pretty rapidly.
In your Cup car next year, you're a free agent after the end of the year, correct? What are the chances of you taking KHI to the Cup level? I mean, you're building some fantastic race cars. Everyone knows that.
Yeah, it's 0 with me in it.
That's a good answer.
Smart man.
0% with me in it.
That's good.
You know, the organization itself is set up to where, you know, I feel like we're right at 100 people now between the fab shop that we have. That's grown into a great business with the Nationwide and the truck teams. So I think that the foundation and the way that the company flows and the experience that they have doing the things that they could do, it would still have to be the 100% right situation with the sponsor, the manufacturer. I use Michael as a good example of how it would have to be in order to build the team to get it to what it needed to be. So.
But maybe in the future.
Yeah, in the future.
That'd be great.
See, I'm not the only one that put you on the spot today.
That's why I'm here, right?
Exactly.
That's right.
When they roll off today, fingers crossed, Kevin Harvick will roll off 16th, and when and if he sticks around for the entire season. Here's what the Nationwide Series points battle looks like. Of course, Brad Keselowski is the new leader, but only by 4 points over Carl Edwards, Kyle Busch, Kevin Harvick, Justin Allgaier in your top 5. Then when we come back, the guy who is second in points joins us, Mr. Carl Edwards, coming up next on NASCAR Countdown. The weather at Texas Motor Speedway, not exactly ideal for race cars, as you can see. Puddles on pit road, but we are hoping, with crossed fingers, that we will get onto the track today. You know, Kyle Busch joined us earlier, and he mentioned the great Sam Ard, who was pretty much a legend in this series, and he said the late, great Sam Ard. Sam, by the way, is still with us today. And somebody else who's trying to make his mark and has made his mark in this series, he's a former champion. Carl Edwards is standing by with our Dave Burns.
And Nicole, you always learn a little something different about someone when you're down here in a rain delay situation. And I learned that Carl has been on the Weather Channel before, malfunctioning all of their weather gadgets in there. So given that and looking up at the sky here, what's your prediction?
It's not good. It's real wet out here. You know, we hope to get this race in today. I've heard that you just told me that they'll go until really late tonight, which would be fine with me. I'd much rather race tonight when we got all these fans here. And, you know, I don't want to race on Monday. You know, and listening to some of the guys talk, I agree that our car's set up a little bit more for these conditions than what it'll be in, you know, maybe sunny or something on Monday. So we're just hoping to get it in.
By these conditions, of course, you don't mean exactly rain, but these conditions without the wet.
I thought about that when I said
that's it. All right. That's all right. I'm just busting on you.
You know how it is. You say things, and then you realize it wasn't right. But, yes, it's very wet right now. Goodyear makes a great tire, but I don't think it'll work in this. And we just want to race, man. We got a pretty good car, I think. We qualified 4th, and just went and spoke with a bunch of the Fastenal folks. Fastenal has, 1,000 people? 1,000 people here in the grandstands, and we just want to get a good show in for them.
You know, I want to talk racing with you here because lately the performance I know that you expect and that you want from your car has not been there. No laps led in the last couple of weeks. You're still looking for your first win of the season. And even though Brad just eked into the points lead ahead of you here, the consistency's been there, Carl, but the speed overall, what's been lacking for you?
Speed. That's it. So we've been working hard. You know, Mike Kelly has been doing a great job in the team manager role, and now he's going to crew chief for Stenhouse. So I hope we don't lose anything there. But Dave Cody, the Yates guys, everybody's been working hard to get the whole car better, from the engines to the aero package. I think what Drew and the guys worked on this week will be good. I think that'll help us. But right now, it's obvious to us and to other people. We're not leading laps. We're not winning races. But all we can do is just hang on, with everything we've got. And to only be 4 points behind when that 22 car and Brad and those guys are running as fast as they are every week, I think that's a real accomplishment. So if we can turn it around, get a little performance, and have this consistency, it's going to be good.
I've been curious. You haven't had Matt in one of these nationwide cars this year. Greg has been in it, but he hasn't been in one of your cars per se.
Right.
Would that be helpful, given your need for all the input and all the help you can get?
That's a really good question. Yeah,
Should I go ask Jack?
Yeah, Matt's motorhome is right down there, and you can go ask him. I'm sure Matt's watching. That'd be nice if we could put something together and have those guys run. Matt and Greg both have an amazing ability to get in these cars, especially at the mile and a halves, and really make them go. And and that's something I've got to look at myself and say, hey, is there a feel in these cars that maybe I'm missing something? Maybe the way I want the car to feel isn't what it needs. And we're all looking at how we can be better, and maybe that would help. You could work on Jack for that. That'd be good.
Well, one thing you've got going for him this weekend, a great starting spot. And Nicole, if we had to watch the L moving over the Speedway on the weather map, I think it's centered over us right now. It's really coming down.
I would have to agree with you. Dave Burns, Carl Edwards, thank you very much. Carl Edwards has had success at this track before. In 2008, in the NASCAR Sprint Cup Series, he not only won the spring race, he went on and won the fall race and swept the entire year. However, in the NASCAR Nationwide Series, Carl Edwards has never won at Texas Motor Speedway. And as you heard him talking about earlier, you heard Carl say in this series, this season, he's not leading a lot of laps. In fact, this year he's only led 57 laps. You also heard him talk about his teammates. He's got two rookie teammates in Colin Brown and in Stenhouse Jr. Those two have combined this season for 6 accidents. What impact is that having on Carl Edwards?
Well, I think as you listen to Carl, he's talking about overall performance on that race car, from motor performance to aero packages and those types of things. One thing he doesn't have is the older teammates, the experienced teammates that he can go to and share notes. You're looking at Colin Brown and Ricky Stenhouse. These young men are still trying to find their way into this sport. They're giving feedback that someone like a Matt Kenseth or Greg Biffle, they can't do that. They can't give that type of feedback that those guys can. So I think he's missing that, and I think it affects the overall performance of that race team.
Brad, I really think that Carl Edwards to get his mojo back as the year goes on. I really do. I mean, this guy is incredibly good. You hear his interviews there, great with his sponsors. Seems like he's got sponsors all the time. Really nice guy, and really works with his team. I can tell you he wants to help those teammates and get them going, but it's really hard to take a rookie teammate and have him take a veteran and make the veteran run faster, and that's what he's got right now. I think that I don't think many guys have really required their teammates to make them go faster. What they need teammates for is to have more money in the whole team to make a little more money and have more pieces and parts. I'm really confident with what Carl Edwards has got coming down the pike.
Yeah.
I know rumor has it Brad Daugherty was asked to come out of retirement to head back to the NBA playoffs, but he's decided to
half court. I can play half court right now
there.
for anyone.
The NBA playoffs continue on ESPN tonight with 2 first-round games. First at 8 Eastern, Dwayne Wade and the Heat face Paul Pierce and the Celtics. Then at 10:30 Eastern, it's Deron Williams and the Jazz taking on Carmelo Anthony and the Nuggets. First round of the NBA playoffs on ESPN and ESPN3.com tonight. Coming up next on NASCAR Countdown, he's a new guy in the series, at least for this particular race. He's also the Daytona 500 winner. Jamie McMurray joins us next.
NASCAR Nationwide Series at Texas is brought to you by Toyota and Verizon. Get the inside track from Penske Racing with race analysis from our drivers, plus highlights and high-speed action, all on VCast and only from Verizon. Text RACE to 66402 now.
Earlier in February, this young man scored what is the career win of a lifetime. And if you saw him in the press room afterwards, it was also a very emotional win. Jamie McMurray in the 1 car scored this season's Daytona 500 victory. And he's not just competing this year, at least, in the Sprint Cup Series. This weekend, we will begin to see Jamie McMurray in the Nationwide Series, where in the past he has found a lot of success. In fact, he's in the record books for having 4 straight wins at the Rockingham Speedway. Jamie McMurray climbing there on top of his car in Daytona. Like we said, success in the Nationwide Series. He's had 7 wins here and more than 170 starts, 171 starts. His average finish, 17.7. And joining us now is Jamie McMurray. As you'll notice, he is in the Hellman's race suit, which means he is in for Junior Motorsports this week. And now let's start there, because Jamie McMurray is in the car. That means Kelly Byers is out. It was one of the things we talked about. The team said team chemistry just wasn't there with Kelly Byers. So how is the chemistry between you and Pops so far?
Well, we've only got about an hour of working together, and the hardest part about coming back to the Nationwide Series is that you only get one set of tires in practice. And I talked to Pops about this before practice started. You work on your car typically to get it freer and freer and freer, and then when you go and you put new tires on it and you fill it full of fuel, it's too loose. And so we got to a point in practice where the tires had about 50 laps on them, and everything we were changing wasn't really freeing the car up. And so we just kind of put 2 or 3 of the changes back and went and made our qualifying run. And honestly, I really hoped the track was going to get slick and hot and the sun was going to be out, because I feel like we've got our car maybe where there's a little more downforce in it, a little more drag, but it was going to be better on a hotter, slicker track. So if we race at night, I don't know if that's going to benefit us as much as it would have racing in the sun.
Hey, Jim, you sparked a pretty good conversation the other day with a lot of drivers, Carl Edwards, Greg Biffle, many drivers talking about how hard a Nationwide car is to drive. Now, not how it handles, but how hard you got to push it to make it go fast. And when you said, man, I got to really run this thing hard to keep up, tell us about the feel.
Well, when we went to the car tomorrow with a wing, all of the drivers, the Cup drivers, talked about how far out of control you could drive the car and how loose you could get it and still catch it. And with the old style car and with the Nationwide cars, I don't remember being able to do that. So when I got in the car yesterday, you'd feel the car start to yaw out, and I just didn't know. I'm like, how far can I push this before I lose it? And I didn't want to lose it. I wanted to make sure that I kept the car underneath me, but I wasn't going fast enough. And then I sat out there before qualifying. You can run almost, literally wide open. And I've never truly run wide open all the way around a racetrack like this, but it's really close. And when I saw Greg spin out, that's a guy that can really hang a car out. And I'm thinking, ugh, don't hang it out too far in qualifying, because you will lose it. So it's amazing though how hard you have to drive the cars.
You were one of the young guys who came up through the Nationwide Series and got your opportunity in the Cup Series and made the most of it. What advice would you give to some of these young guys in this series? It seems like we have a lot of young guys who are going by the wayside. They can't quite get over the hump for some reason. What advice would you give a young guy?
Well, I wish that NASCAR would make the Nationwide cars drive more like the car tomorrow. The Nationwide cars and the little bit I've driven in the trucks, you run almost wide open, and you'll hear the truck guys run wide open for 20 laps at a place like this. And that just doesn't prepare you, I don't think, for the cars that the car tomorrow or the car that the Cup cars are now. And even switching back and forth yesterday, it's just incredible the difference in the way the cars drive. And I think Joey Logano was a really good example. That's a guy that was winning in the Nationwide Series and then which was struggling on Sunday his first few races until he caught on to that. And obviously now he's running great, but it's just such a difference that if you don't have that experience, I think it's hard for those guys to continue to get better at that.
Good point.
Jamie, when I noticed when NASCAR stopped all the testing, when they stopped that, it looked like it really killed the young guys.
Yeah.
They couldn't get any track time, and then after that happened, then the tapered spacer came on also, which made them really run these cars hard through the corner. Do you think those two things right there are the main reasons that some of these young guys are really struggling?
Probably. I remember my rookie year in the Nationwide Series. We went to Darlington. We went to Watkins Glen. The tracks that you don't get to run at twice a year and that are a bigger challenge. And I'd like to see NASCAR give us the testing back, because all of the teams are still spending the money to go test. We're just not going to the tracks that we actually race at. And certainly I think for a young guy coming into the sport, or like at a track like this where you have to run almost wide open around the track, it would do them a lot of good to be able to come test and know what that limit is. Because when you get in the car and you feel the car, start to yaw out, you don't know what point you can't let it yaw out anymore. So, if you could have some practice laps and then fill your car back up with fuel and put stickers back on, you might know what those limits are.
One of the other things we need to point out is a new Nationwide car is coming to this series in July. But Rusty, we were talking earlier, he said he thinks it's the worst economy to try to grow a new driver. And you've been in this sport a long time. Junior Motorsports is known as one of the teams that's trying to grow drivers, yet they put in an experienced driver. Why do you think that is also a reason why young drivers are struggling?
Well, I don't know. I'm the guy that's driving the car this weekend, and I really don't know. They called me on Monday and just asked if I'd come drive their car, and certainly it being Dale Jr. and the equipment they're in, you can't turn that down. Yeah. But I don't know the situation, everything that's going on there, and certainly it is a tough time to. Rusty knows he's got a couple of teams, and Rusty's as good as there is at going and getting sponsors. So it's certainly the times are getting better. But I was talking with some guys the other day about it. When I first came into the Nationwide Series, Series, there weren't a lot of Cup teams affiliated with it. It was different. And I remember, I think it was PPC Racing at the time. It was Jeff Green and Jason Keller, and they were the team. You know, I remember when I first came in, if you could outrun Jason Keller and Jeff Green, you did something, and they were the guys winning the championships and running well. And there might be like an RCR team, but it only ran the companion races, and now it's just different. I mean, you have either Hendricks or Earnhard Jr. That's the engine builders. There's only 3 of the Roush 8s for Fords. You just don't see what we used to have in the sport. It's different than what it used to be. I don't know if it's bad, it's just different.
Well, when you get out there, hopefully today you'll start 7th. Thank you for stopping by. And
One more thing I got to show.
Okay.
Do you know what this is?
I don't know what this is yet.
You shouldn't know what it is either.
It looks old.
How thin?
You're dating yourself.
No. They gave this to me this morning.
They did.
Do you know this is the rule book for 1948?
Wow.
When NASCAR
Both
first
sides
started?
or just one?
Both. Look at this. This is the entire rule book.
Wow.
The first rule is to make sure you're strapped into the car by any means necessary.
Yeah, the first rule says you must be strapped in the car. You know how thick the rule book is now?
Right, it's unbelievable the rules we have now.
Okay.
Yeah, a lot.
We'll go follow those rules. Go steady up.
All right, thanks for having me on, guys.
Thank you very much. You know, we were talking to Mike Kelly, who is Ricky Stenhouse Jr.'s crew chief, and he was talking about what he needs to do to build up his rookie, and it was to gain confidence. There is another crew chief. He's on our team that knows a little bit about coaching rookies.
And he's got a lot of confidence.
Yes, he does. Tim Brewer is standing by in the Craftsman Tech Garage. How would you go about coaching rookies?
Thanks, Nicole. You know, we're out here in Texas, and you can do a lot of things out here in Texas with a lot of animals. You know, you can even fall back to this whip right here. But with this caliber of driver, you can throw that whip away. What you have to do, ideally, is test. Get the guy's seat time. But you're going to stand up on that truck as a crew chief. You're going to rely on the spotter. You're going to really take this guy under your wing. You've got to tell him the 4 best friends on that car are those Goodyear tires. When you go down in the corner, you heard Jamie say, that car, when it steps out and it turns sideways, you're a young guy. When that car is sideways at 180 miles an hour, that's not a good feeling. But you still have to carry the speed. So everything you can do, get behind Carl Edwards, go down through the corners. Mark Martin, he's got the best explanation of anybody in Nationwide. You have to keep the momentum up because the cars don't have a lot of horsepower. But when this steering wheel, when he turns it, he needs to have direction. When he hits the gas, it needs to go. When he hits the brakes, it needs to stop. But the best thing you can do to build confidence is stay with this young man, support him, do anything you can to build his confidence.
Did
Nicole?
Tim Brewer just have a whip?
Yeah,
he did.
That's scary.
Brewer's had a lot of things.
Hey, I got that from the producer.
I'm a little bit frightened by that. Tim Brewer, thank you much. Still a little bit wet at Texas Motor Speedway, but that doesn't mean we aren't busy in the pit studio. Coming up next, Landon Castle. He is a new driver for Junior Motorsports this weekend. We'll talk about what he's doing. And Reed Sorensen. It's all ahead on NASCAR Countdown. Welcome back to NASCAR Countdown. As you can see, raindrops on the camera at Texas Motor Speedway, but we do have our fingers crossed because as we've learned from past experience, doesn't necessarily mean we won't race today. But we are talking about some of the young guys, or the young guns if we're talking about Texas, and for that we head down to the wet area. Doc Punch is standing by with Landon Castle.
Thank you, Nicole. And he is aged now. He is some 20 years of age. Landon, I can believe it. You were Rookie of the Year 2 years ago at the age of 18. Good to have you back in the series.
Yeah, it's good to be back. I feel like I've been around for a long time.
Now, what's your role? You're driving the 7 car for Dale Earnhardt Jr. Motorsports this weekend. You drove last week at Phoenix. You're not going to be in the car next week. What are you doing with this whole organization? What kind of job titles do you have?
It's kind of to be a team player is the first thing. You know, you're with a two-car team, especially one as great as Junior Motorsports. I got to be a team player and keep that 7 car in the points for my teammate Danica Patrick, as well as just learning myself to improve my performance on the track, and also just whatever they need me for. We'll be going testing soon, things like that, and just being a team player. When they sat me down and hired me this time, they told me that this was because I'm a familiar face in the organization, and that they trust me with their equipment, and I appreciate that, and I just want to do the best I can for them.
People may not realize you filled a pretty vital role with Danica Patrick early in the year as a spotter during the race and as a driver coach. Now, what's going to happen when she comes back in June?
Hopefully I'll get to continue, working with her. I've built somewhat of a relationship with her, and she's great to work with, and she's got a lot of potential, and I enjoyed being her unofficial driver coach and kind of really giving her advice from one rookie to another. When I talked to Dale about helping her out, it wasn't because I'm some expert NASCAR driver. It was just more or less like, hey man, I know she's a rookie and I know what I went through when I was a rookie, and I think I can help her out from one rookie to another.
Well, good luck today here in the race car.
Thanks a lot.
Landon Castle. Jamie?
Well, Doc, it's been a big weekend so far for Reed Sorensen and the Braun Racing Machine. They qualified on the Cup side for the first time ever for this organization. Trent Owens, your crew chief over here in the Nationwide Series, it's going to be his first Cup race as well, Reed. What's this weekend been like for you, going back and forth like you used to do?
Well, I'll tell you, we definitely wanted to practice this morning, so not being able to because the rain kind of hurt us a little bit. And we don't have any notes to go off of, so we're just going to he's going to throw some stuff at it, and he told me to bear with him tomorrow. I was like, I will. So it should be fun tomorrow. We're happy to be in the race, and happy Dollar General is going to be on both cars this weekend. So we're going to have some fun tomorrow. I'm sure there'll be a lot of things we wish we could have tried today, which is hard to do in the race. There's only a certain amount of adjustments you can do. So that'll be fun tomorrow and eventful, so hopefully we get tonight in.
Let's talk about your nationwide efforts over here on this side. You're in the car for about 25 races at this point for this year. You guys, the one run that stands out to me was Nashville. You finished second, had a strong race car. How is it here?
It's pretty good. It's I don't know if it's quite as good as we were there. We had a pretty good car all weekend there. This car seems to be running really good in race trim, and qualifying, you're pretty much wide open around there, and we drove great in qualifying. We just didn't qualify that well. So I think it'll be fine in the race once we get going. And these guys do a great job on their pit stops to gain us some spots, and it should be a fun race. Hopefully we get it in, whether it's in the day or under the lights. I think it'll be a great race.
Get going is the key word down here. Let's race today at some point, Nicole. He'll roll off 22nd when we do go green.
I think we all agree with you here in the pit studio. Jamie, thank you very much. And yes, it is still a bit damp here at Texas Motor Speedway, but that just means the rolling routine of guests. They keep coming into the pit studio. Up next, the points leader, Brad Keslowski. We'll see you in a second. The cars keeping dry at Texas Motor Speedway. It's wet here, but a lot of racing to come. SummitRacing.com, NHRA Nationals from Las Vegas on ESPN2. Qualifying coming up next. Finals tomorrow at 7 Eastern. Then NASCAR Now tomorrow morning, 9 a.m. That's Eastern time on ESPN2. And next weekend, we are back. The NASCAR Nationwide Series, Aaron's 312 at Talladega. That is next Saturday, 2:30 Eastern on ABC. It was a few years ago that we learned this name, Brad Keslowski. He burst onto the scene courtesy of his team, Junior Motorsports. In the past few years, he's made a run at the championship. He's also made a few enemies out there. But how is he trying to change that? We call this the evolution of Brad K.
I feel like I'm proving myself every time I get in a race car. And when the day comes, when I don't feel like I have something to prove, that's when I lose interest in the sport. I think that there are two different personalities that I carry, and they come out in different ways. I still have that quiet side. In my private life, I don't mind not being the center of attention, but the racing world brings out like that next step in me, that step that is confident, passionate, but you have to know how to let that fuel you. Yeah! If you drove with emotion all throughout a race, trying to get 100% every lap, you're gonna knock the wall down at lap 30 and nobody's gonna know who you are. They're just gonna laugh at you. When I first got into running the Nationwide car, or even in the truck series, I got pushed around a lot. I found that when I stopped allowing that to happen, I became more successful. If the penalty for being too passionate is, making a few people mad along the way, I would much rather take that than take the thought of, I didn't care.
Oh, he turns Hamlin. Gets into Hamlin. Look out. Remember, these guys have history from before.
There is always give and take in racing. Will always be, and there's nothing wrong with give and take. But you can't confuse give and take with allowing yourself to be bullied.
When Keselowski's team is mad at the 20 team for swerving into him, a lot of heat right there.
I feel like I have an appreciation for my competitors and a respect for them that sometimes they don't see. If you're always worried about the respect of your competitors, you're never going to be able to run up front, to be able to win, and you're not going to be genuine to yourself or to your team. Of course I care what people think, absolutely. I don't want to make my competitors angry, but at the same side, you have to understand that The only time they're going to be happy with you is when they're beating you.
Big time crash there from Brad Keslowski. I think this was Carl Edwards' payback for what happened earlier in this race.
There's a part of me that looks at Atlanta and thinks of it as collateral damage to an attitude that I have towards racing.
I think we probably won't have as many run-ins now as we've had in the past, and that's a good thing.
To say that I had it coming any more than any other race car driver, I think is probably not an objective view. We're all looking out for our own well-being. So to go out of your way to ruin somebody else's day is to completely sacrifice your own well-being. When you are willing to tear down your own house just to try to get to somebody else's, that is the epitome of defeat. There is no doubt in my mind that the way that I'm doing things in this sport is the hard way. But I feel like it will pay off. It might not pay off tomorrow or this year or even the year after next. But I feel really good that it will pay off in the long run. To have the fans, you know, approval or enthusiasm makes me feel like it's worth it and adds its own swagger to you. Like, you know, everything along the way that I did made it worth it. And I carry that with me. I think that's been a large part to the confidence that I have. I don't think I want to be like all the other drivers. Somebody said the other day, I like Brad because he's not a vanilla driver. And I thought, man, that's pretty cool. You're right, I'm not vanilla. I'm more like the Neapolitan ice cream. You know, I have a little bit of vanilla, strawberry, and chocolate in me. And you never know which side is going to come out.
Well, in 110 starts in the NASCAR Nationwide Series, he's managed to make it to victory lane 6 times, most recently in Memphis. And as you can see there, he's finished 3rd in the points a couple of times. Joining us now is Mr. Neapolitan Ice Cream himself, Brad Keslowski. Also the points leader, we should tell you that. He's leading the points by 4 over Carl Edwards. We heard you talk in that piece about lessons and making your way up the ladder, almost in the old school way, coming through the Nationwide Series first. What do you say is the biggest lesson, though, that you've learned in this past couple of years?
Wow. One lesson in particular is hard to define, but there's multiple lessons that you learn just from experience and being surrounded by good people. I had a great teacher in the Nationwide Series in the last few years with Tony Sr. Learned a lot from him, learned a lot of the core values of what it takes to run well. But I also had great car owners with Rick Hendrick and Dale Earnhardt Jr. and now Roger Penske that have all taught me something along the way. You know, Dale taught me how to have fun racing. I never really had fun racing until I raced with Dale. And Rick taught me some of, you know, the professional end and it's part of the teamwork of what it takes to stay engaged with your team and keep them positive and that whole model that he has of success. And now I'm with Roger Penske, who's all about professionalism and what it takes to, you know, be clean cut and keep your sponsors happy and all those things.
Is that the reason you cut the goatee off?
Well, you know, I originally grew it. You know, a lot of people ask me, I originally grew it because I got confused for Joey Logano a lot in the fans, and I couldn't stand that, you know? So I grew it for that reason. I'm sure there's some fans out there that are just going to call me Joey Logano every time I walk by. But so I grew it for that reason, and after a while, I just got bored with it.
You know, you're talking about gaining respect and doing it your own way, and, hey, I'm with you, man. You're getting the job done out there on the racetrack, no doubt about that. But, you know, a lot of drivers always like to have a lot of buddies on the racetrack, guys they hang out with at the track, that they talk different things about. Have you got some buddies out there that you really trust and that you work with? And name some names.
I mean, not really, no. I've got my teammates. They're the most important ones.
Besides your teammates?
You know, I don't really know. You know, I don't spend a lot of time trying to make my competitors happy. No, that doesn't mean I go out of the way to make them angry, you know, but I don't spend a lot of time trying to go out and go to the next party with them or whatever that might be. And, you know, part of that is maybe some of the culture problems that I've had. But, you know, I look at it that I spend most of my time engaging my team, trying to hang out with them, spend time with them, and really focusing on my race cars and race team and what they take, what it's going to take to make them run up front and be competitive. And so far, that's working.
You know, we talked to some of the other guys, Brad, about, and we're going to ask the same question again, about how difficult it is to drive these Nationwide cars because you have to have them wound up so much, and you can almost hold these things wide open. Well, you did the opposite. You've run the Nationwide cars a tremendous amount and went into the Cup cars. What is your opinion on the various differences in these race cars and how difficult one is to drive versus the other?
Well, a Nationwide car is very difficult to drive and at times can be more difficult than the Cup car. That's what's so surprising about it. And then you combine that with the testing limits in both the Cup and the Nationwide Series, that it just becomes one of the most difficult beasts to handle of all of racing. So, you know, I certainly sympathize for a lot of the Nationwide drivers that are rookies or are trying to get experience because this is not a good place to get experience. This is a place where you need to be, you need to know what to do before you get here. Otherwise, you're not going to make it.
Wow.
You know, in that piece you talked about your probably not doing things the easy way, but you think it is going to pay off. And we've also heard a lot of drivers talk about you have to have respect, because if they don't respect you, they can push you around. Do you see yourself changing, or are you always going to remain this same package?
Well, I'm always evolving. I think as a person, I've changed a little bit, but as a driver, I don't feel like I'm doing many things differently. There's a few things I've done differently that have got me to the points lead right now. That's, being a little less aggressive at certain times, but I've also been more aggressive at some times. The last few weeks, Nashville was an example where I made some extremely aggressive moves, but they were towards the end of the race instead of halfway through the race. So it made more sense. And, the same thing at Phoenix last week where I went for the lead. So, you got to be aggressive. That's what's going to win your races. And that was pretty cool. I went home and watched that a couple times. But, you've got to be aggressive to win races, but you got to know when to be aggressive.
You have finished third in the Nationwide Series a few times come the end of the season, but now you are with a new team. How do you take that next step?
Well, going to a new team was a huge part of it for me. It was a chance to start over. I had great opportunities with Junior Motorsports, but it was a chance for me to start over mentally and to physically start over with a brand new team, brand new race cars, brand new pit boxes, haulers. I mean, everything it takes was brand new on this team. We've had brand new cars. I think this is only my second race where I haven't had a brand new car here at Penske Racing and in the Nationwide Series. So it's a unique opportunity, and the cars are fast. That's a really important piece. I think we can run up front everywhere we go this year, and I really think that we're a legitimate contender to win the points title.
Brad, talking about the Cup side now, a lot of people coming into this race said they're looking forward to Texas to feel this brand new rear spoiler out. What are you feeling right now, the difference between that and the wing?
Well, the big thing is the straightaway speed difference. Faster through the corners, slower down at the end of the straightaway. But I think that's going to go away in race trim. I really believe. I think we're going to draft much stronger than we ever have in the past. So we'll get that straightaway speed back in the pack, and then we'll be fast in the corner to go with it because we still have the spoiler. So I think the race pace is going to be drastically faster than what we saw with the wing.
Now, you're an ARCA owner, correct?
Yep.
What gave you, why did you decide to do that? Why would you want to dabble in the ownership side and drive and do all at the same time? What brought that about?
I just love racing. I really look up to Kevin Harvick and what he's done with his template. He's taken it from the Nationwide Series, or he was in the Truck Series, then went to the Nationwide Series. And he's been successful in it, and I think that's pretty cool. He's someone that I certainly respect because he's been able to do it successfully and to have sponsors and great drivers along the way. But to me, it's just a pride factor. My family owned race teams as I was growing up, and that was just the coolest thing in the world, to be able to have employees and to be able to share in those experiences with them, when you won or even when you lost. Yeah. And it meant a lot to me. And even further than that is to be able to give opportunities to other drivers like myself who, I had my moments where I didn't think I was going to get an opportunity, and I felt like I could do it if I just got the opportunity. So to be able to give an opportunity, like right now I've got Chad Finley driving for me in the ARCA Series. I mean, we are almost the same people, just 6 years, time difference. Yeah. And I feel like he can get the job done if he gets the right opportunity. So that's what motivates me to do those things.
That's great.
Brad Keselowski, thank you very much for joining us in here today. And good luck to you the whole season, because it's not just the NASCAR Nationwide Series. He's also full-time in the Sprint Cup Series. Penske Racing, we've got two teammates out there for Penske Racing, Justin Allgaier and Brad Keselowski. Keselowski is leading the points. Allgaier is in fifth, just 51 points behind him. Both finishing in the top 5 consistently, and both averaging finishes in the top 10. Of course, Allgaier got his first win at Bristol Motor Speedway. Brad is still waiting for that win. Coming up next, we're going to talk to somebody that Rusty Wallace knows quite well, Jason Leffler. And then we'll also be talking to Stephen Wallace, who, of course, is battling that broken foot. The NBA playoffs continue on ESPN tonight. 2 first-round games. First at 8, it's the Heat taking on the Celtics. And at 10:30, it's the Jazz and the Nuggets. First-round NBA playoff action on ESPN and ESPN3.com. Still, as you can see, raindrops falling at Texas Motor Speedway. Vince Welch, though, staying dry. We're still hoping to race, though. Vince, though, standing by with the driver who will eventually roll off 6. He's with Jason Leffler.
That's right, and it's a challenge to stay dry down here now. The rain falling even harder, but as Nicole said, you guys qualified 6th, which I gotta believe has got you chomping at the bit even more to get out there. How much did that qualifying effort kind of buoy the spirits of the 38 team?
Well, up until this point, we haven't qualified, I don't think, in the top 10, so it was a good run for us. And my car has been really, really good off the trailer. So I got to thank Scott and all the guys for that, the whole team at Braun Racing for coming together this week and made a few little changes, and it's definitely helped. So yeah, I'm chomping at the bit to get out there and race tonight. I think the Great Clips Camry is really, really good, and we need a good run. It'd be nice to get a good top 5, maybe a win tonight.
4 cars in this bronze stable, the 10, the 11, the 32, your car, the 38. How much has the teamwork amongst the 4 paid off for you guys here, specifically in the 38?
Well, I think it pays off for everybody. I think as an organization, you take, you all sacrifice to run 4 cars. So you need to take advantage of having 4 cars, and the guys have done a really good job at sharing information, and I think it just pays off. If one of us is lost, we can go to them. If they're lost, they can come to us, and vice versa. Driving wise, you can get out and talk to your teammate, and so it just helps. We have a lot of good teammates, a lot of good drivers in the stable, so you can pull from a lot of different guys on a given weekend.
No doubt about it. One of the good drivers in the stable is this guy right here, Jason Leffler, 38. As you said, Nicole will roll off 6th. Then now let's go to Jamie Little.
And I'm joined now by Stephen Wallace. Mr. Rusty Wallace been working with us on the show. And first of all, we got to talk about the foot. Let's show it. It's in a little cast right now. You do drive with a special shoe that's 2 sizes bigger than your regular shoe. You tested it out at Phoenix. What was it like, and how did it feel?
It kind of felt like Bigfoot, really. It's size 14. I usually wear size 12, so I got used to it, but it's kind of hard to, feel the gas pedal and stuff. And first practice here, I thought I had my foot on the pedal when flying out in turn 1, and my foot fell off the gas pedal, so kind of had to get used to it again,
You had a great qualifying effort, qualified 8th. It's your best of the year, and of course, best here at Texas. When we do get this thing going green, how do you feel about your race car?
Well, I think it'll be on Monday, to be honest with you, so...
Come on, think positive. Think positive thoughts, Steven.
But it's kind of hard to when you look at telecast.com and it shows this big, gigantic, green blob on you. But I feel I've got a really fast 5-hour Toyota. It's been really good the past couple of days here. We've had some really, really good cars, the past 3 or 4 weeks. We just got to get the monkey off our back, I feel like if all 4 tires stay inflated, the motor doesn't blow up, or we don't catch on fire, we should have another top 10. So that's what we're hoping for. But we've had some good runs and just got to get this 5-hour Toyota back running good.
All right, you have a little more pressure than most of the other drivers. Your dad's watching you from the booth. He's actually sending text messages to your brother, telling you little messages. What's it like knowing your dad's watching you?
It's a story of my life, really. He watches me in every aspect. At work, calls me all the time. He's always at my house. It's a pretty intense relationship, I guess you'd say. But in all honesty, it's been good. It's been a lot of fun. We've had a lot of fun together. It's more fun than bad, that's for sure.
Well, it's all because he loves you. Steven's rolling off 8th when we go green. Nicole.
Steven rail on his dad a little bit. All we can get is a grin out of Rusty over here.
I'm not sending any text messages. What are you talking about?
Man,
in my hand. I don't know how to do that. I got a flip phone, man.
At 128 starts, Stephen Wallace, you can see his numbers right there. 19 top 10s, 3 top 5s, and a couple of poles. What do you think?
He's due.
He's due?
He's due. He's got a monkey on his back right now with those 3 races.
And a broken
good cars,
foot to boot.
We'll see what happens.
Coming up next, a lot of changes at Junior Motorsports lately, and more changes to come next week in the 88 car. We'll see what's the deal, because Doc Punch is setting to talk with its owner, Dale Earnhardt Jr. He's next. Welcome back to NASCAR Countdown. We're joining you live from Texas Motor Speedway. Still a bit damp, but we are still hoping that later on today we can see the green flag. Junior Nation rejoiced in 1998 here in the Nationwide Series. Dale Earnhardt Jr. pulled that car into victory lane. That was April 4th, 1998 Nationwide Series. But that is not his only success, because in the Sprint Cup Series, we're going to see Dale Earnhardt Jr. was able to pull into victory lane again in 2000, and guess who greeted him in victory lane? His dad. But we're not going to talk to Dale Earnhardt Jr., the driver, right now. We want to talk to Dale Earnhardt Jr., the team owner, and he is standing by with Doc Punch.
Thank you very much, Nicole. And Dale Jr., thanks for coming over and chatting with us a little bit here. Let's talk about the moving target that we've seen in this series this year in 2010 in terms of ownership and sponsors and drivers. You made a change with this team before the year began, bringing back cousin Tony Eury Jr. to be a part of the ownership team. Why'd you do that?
Well, Tony Jr. had an opportunity, sort of had a window really to make a decision on what he wanted to do with his future, and he had he had time to decide whether he wanted to go back into the Cup Series and crew chief or whatever he wanted to make, and we decided to give him an opportunity to come and work with us a little bit and see if this was some interest to him. and we talked about doing some ownership things, and we ended up doing all those, and he was really excited about that. So we just kind of brought him in as an owner and give him a lot of control and let him be a part of the decision-making process. We enjoy being around each other and being a big part of each other's lives, and so we can continue to kind of race together and work on our futures together. And the nationwide program has always been, we started that from the ground up, and it's always been a very important part of my involvement in motorsports. And it's been a great way for me to really enjoy and understand what being an owner's like and how the business works from a money standpoint and everything. And I think it's great to get him in there and see that too, and give him more challenges other than what he's faced in the past.
One of the big coups for your team, Junior, was the addition of Danica Patrick back before the year began. What has her presence done for your organization?
Well, I don't think we really felt that yet because we've only run a few races with her, so it's just it's a matter of time, I think, throughout this year as we race with her more, that we'll start to understand really how to make this work and really what our goals are and what the projection can be for the future with her. So it's been a lot of fun. She's a great person to work with, and GoDaddy was a great partner of ours for many years, and it was great to be able to continue that relationship with them. So it's been a lot of fun working with her and getting to know her even more as a racer.
She ran the first 3 races of the year for you. She'll be back after the Indy 500 in June to run 10 more. You brought in Scott Wimmer, back-to-back top 10s at Bristol, Landon Castle last week and this week. And then next week you introduce another newcomer to the series, the ARCA driver Steve Arpin from Canada. Tell us about him.
Well, Steve is a guy that I was first heard about Steve through Carl Edwards. Carl's been coming up to me just about every week for the past year and a half, telling me, man, you need to give this guy a shot. He's it's just a shame he needs that opportunity. He can get it done. So Carl believes in him 100%. Another guy that's really, really good at picking talent is Mark Martin. I went up and talked to Mark about him, and Mark thought he was, gave him a lot of great compliments and felt like that it was worth a look. And then we had talked to Steve in the off season a little bit as we were sort of interviewing drivers for all the opportunities we have this season, not just in the 88. We also have a lot of gaps in the 7 car to fill. And so we were looking at a lot of different drivers, and we brought him in. And everybody that talked to him at JR Motorsports and has talked to him since, we've been in contact with Steve for just about every week. And they love his enthusiasm, and he's got a great work ethic. He's willing to do whatever it takes, and those are the kind of people that you like to be around. And those are the people that really, you feel deserving to give them that opportunity. So he really. The timing couldn't have been better because of his win last night at Texas, but he's done so many great things over his career to get to this point that have earned him that sort of recognition at least. And we hope that we can give him, a good opportunity, give him a good race car. That's our job. It's great to, I'm excited to give Steve the opportunity to get in the car and get into the series, but we hope to in turn be able to give him a car that can compete. And we have, even though we feel like, we were a great team last year, we ran great, won some races. We also had an awesome race car driver in Brad Keslowski, who has a tremendous amount of talent. So we always got to remind ourselves that we've got to continue to work on our equipment and try to improve our cars to try to keep pace with everybody else. And hopefully we can give, Steve the tools to be able to show what he can do.
We might clarify that Steve will be in the car at Talladega and Richmond the next 2 weeks. He told me a little bit ago the biggest thrill, aside from winning the ARCA race last night, was meeting you for the first time today, so he got a chance to visit. Now let's talk about the 88 car behind me. You began the year in the Hellman's car. You had Kelly Byers in it for the next 5 races. You made a change this week, and now McMurray in the car for 9 races. Why make the change?
Well, it's a difficult it's a difficult situation for everybody to understand who's on the outside looking in. We certainly went into the season with the best intentions of running the entire season with Kelly and having a lot of success. We felt like we could pick off right where we left off with Brad. And Kelly's a good guy, and obviously he's got some talent, and he's been able to prove that in the past that he can drive a race car. But the chemistry between him and the team and the company never really got gelled, and we just never really could kind of get on the same page. And we were definitely going the wrong direction as far as what our mission statement is. So we felt like that at the same time, it wasn't an enjoyable situation for Kelly either. So it's hard for people to understand exactly what was going on in the inside of the company, and it's really kind of it's all really personal. It's not something we want to air across to the media or to the public exactly, the day-to-day workings within the company. But we felt like that it was the right decision to make. We also had to talk. We had to, talk to our sponsors and make sure this was something that was available to us. If they wanted to keep Kelly in the car, we would have to, evaluate that and go from there. But we thought that, we've always wanted to be a company that, more so me. I've always really enjoyed bringing somebody in, giving them a chance, and seeing them go somewhere. What we were able to do with Brad, for example, was a complete success in my book. So we wanted to do that with Kelly, and I didn't feel like that we were really getting that done. So we wanted to take a new direction, but we have sponsors such as Hellman's and other people that want some stability, and so we brought Kelly in. We brought McMurray in to run the races with Hellman's and sort of give the team some stability and be able to get those races finished. And we can start looking toward the future with the tryouts that we're giving Steve, with the things that Landon's doing in the car, on the 7 car, and see what the opportunity is for the 88 past probably the 3/4 mark of this season.
Dale, I want to get quickly into we talked about Texas memories here and a little bit about what's happening with the Cup car. 98 and 2000, your first nationwide and Cup win here at this racetrack, a celebration none of us will ever forget in Victory Lane with your dad. When you come through the tunnel here, how much of a flashback, how much do you remember those days?
I don't really think about it that often, really. It's been so long ago. Really, when I hear about the dates and stuff, it's like, wow, it's a lot of time has passed since then. It's hard to believe we've been in the series that long, but you just it's a fun racetrack. The one thing that when I drive into Texas, the one thing I think about is it surprises me really how enthusiastic the fans are in this area, and how excited they are about the track and about the cars, about the series coming here, and about us racing here. They really enjoy it. The infield really gets pretty rowdy in the evenings, but it's just been a great success, I guess, for the series to have this track here. A lot of tracks have seen varied differences in success and even failures for that matter, but this place has done so good, and it's been a lot of fun to come here every time we come here. So I enjoy racing the racetrack. It's pretty interesting how different the two corners are and how you got to drive the track. We got a new tire that we ran last week that we're running here, and it's a lot different, and I think it's going to put on a pretty good show once we can get this thing dried up. But the spoilers drive about the same. At least, we haven't ran really much side by side. That'll be a little bit different than what we were used to with the wing. But I think the tire's a much better tire, and you always enjoy coming here. It's a fun racetrack. It's really fast, and it's quite different than most 1.5 miles as far as the transitions, like off of 2 and stuff. So it's a pretty neat place.
Can't let you go quickly without asking you what Junior Nation wants to know. You got a pole at Atlanta, second at Daytona. You've made a lot of progress with the Cup team. What's it going to take for you to get back to Victory Lane and maybe be a factor in this championship chase in 2010?
Well, we've been working. You can't really put into words the amount of effort and work that goes into the AMP Energy National Guard team, and how much effort that was put into the off season. There's a lot of hardships and just tough decisions to make, and we feel like we made the team better, and we're working toward being more consistent and definitely being stronger. I feel like that we're doing some things better, and we're showing up for qualifying, and we're doing better in that regard, and we're the cars are driving better. We're building some new cars. We got a new car here this weekend, but we're still a couple steps away from where I feel like we need to be able to compete with Jimmy and those guys for wins and stuff like that. That's very obvious to I think everybody out there, but we still got a lot of work to do, and we just need to keep that attitude, that we just need to keep that attitude of working hard and keep the work ethic up. And everybody's been really positive on the team. They're a great group of guys. They deserve to have success. They worked for it, and we just want to go out there and earn it.
Hey, thank you so much for coming over and chatting, Dale, and good luck on Sunday.
All right, thanks a lot. Appreciate it.
Nicole, Dale Earnhardt Jr., 7-time most popular driver.
Well, Doc, he also has 370 Cup starts. And in those starts, he scored 18 wins. Of course, it's been a while since that 18th win. When this race goes green, he'll have cars that he owns on both ends of the field. 7th is Jamie McMurray. Landon Castle will start 29th. Coming up next, he's already been very fast in practice, and he already has 1 win this season. Justin Allgaier. What can he do at Texas Motor Speedway? He'll join us next.
We are at the Coliseum of Concrete, Bristol Motor Speedway in East Tennessee.
Justin Allgaier has been nothing short of amazing, but Allgaier will have to come from deep in the field.
Pole sitter Brad Keslowski up on the high side, and we are green.
Yeah, it looks like the longer they run, the better Brad Keslowski's car gets.
Allgaier, strong run out and clicking off some pretty good laps.
Get yourself in a rhythm, get comfortable, pick them off.
Team Penske running 1-2.
Steady work there, Justin. Just use your head, bud.
Look at the captain. The expression never changes.
Be patient, man. Be the man.
He's got a good run off turn 2. Whoa, and he runs up on him, and can he close it? He does. He takes the lead.
You're the winner, baby.
Yeah, baby. Yeah. That's what I'm talking about right there, boys. You guys are awesome.
His first win in his 43rd start. And the captain goes 1-2 for the first time in the Nationwide Series.
And watching and listening that, Justin Allgaier sitting here with a gigantic smile on his face, and he has every right to, because if you take a look at the Nationwide Series points, Allgaier is currently 5th, just 51 points behind his teammate Brad Keselowski in the 22. And we should also tell you this, Allgaier is the only nationwide regular in the top 5. Joining us now in the studio is Justin Allgaier. We just saw that win, and there is a difference between your rookie year and who we see now. But how do you see that difference playing out when you're behind the wheel?
Well, I think just experience and confidence coming off the win at Bristol. I mean, that was huge for not only me but for the team. And I think anytime you can get a win, whether it be the guys that go on the road or the guys that are in the fab shop or the chassis shop, whatever it is, the guys that are working hard, back at home, they're the ones that can revel in that win and really take that forward. And I feel like that's what it's taken this year is more confidence and more experience.
Justin, when you came on with Team Penske, it was obvious that you're a good driver and you were getting the job done pretty good. I mean, really laying some good numbers out. We talked about you all the time. But at the end of last year, about 7 races ago, it's like something was wrong. Something wasn't clicking. The car wasn't handling, some crashes, some things like that. But this year, I see a whole complete different Justin Allgaier. What was the big change?
Well, I think number one, we went through some transitions, and we were trying to work on our equipment. And obviously, owning a race team, things are always moving, and you're kind of always chasing a moving target. So we went through some things, and we tried to work on trying to make our cars better. And you know how it is at Penske Racing. Things happen as quickly as they can, but you're trying to work with 5 NASCAR teams, 3 IndyCar teams, so you're trying to do all this stuff, and things don't always happen on the time frame that you need them to. Well, we went down a path on building some race cars and doing some things setup-wise that we look back at it now and we go, that probably wasn't the right way to do it. So we went back to more where we were at the beginning of the season last year. And I think, the relationship between Chad and I over the winter, we sat down and we said, okay, we know we weren't as good the last 5-10 races. And why did we do that? And we felt like there were some things we did communication-wise that we maybe got a little off base and felt like we were too comfortable with our communication skills. And so we sat down and we made a pact with each other that we weren't going to let the other one fail. And we wanted to make sure that we both improved each other. And we've done that this year, and we made our equipment better. The engine shop's doing a great job of getting more horsepower, and the guys are doing their job on pit road. And I think that's the things, it's a total package. And I get the glory of coming out here and doing the interviews and getting behind the wheel and racing the car, but that's really the last step, if you will, of being able to win these races. And it starts pretty much a year in advance, and I feel like that's the one big thing now.
And the numbers have shown up for you on the track as we take a look at what you've done in the first 6 races. Check out his average finish, 6.3. 6 starts, the 1 win, 3 top 5s. Only 1 race where he wasn't in the top 5. That just happened to be 1 race ago. The other new thing for you this year, though, is you do have a teammate. And Brad Keselowski, obviously he's also a competitive teammate. He's currently leading the points. How has that changed you?
Well, the one time we didn't get in the top 10 was actually last week at Phoenix, like you said, and unfortunately we were running in the top 5 and got wrecked on pit road with about 10 to go. And so that was really tough because we felt like we could keep that string of runs going. But adding a second car, I think anytime you do that, you're only adding potential for the race team. You know, Roger Penske is an unbelievably smart business owner, and I think that that's the reason why he saw benefit in adding that second car. And Brad's been a great asset, as well as Paul Wolf and all the guys that are on that team. They do a great job week in and week out. And I think for me, you know, I saw the success that Brad's had in the last couple of years, and then I'll be honest with you, I was a little nervous. I wanted to see where we stacked up against each other and make sure that we could be competitive and see where our equipment was at. And obviously he brings a lot of knowledge from not only the Hendrick but the junior motorsports camp. And so when he came on board and we were racing with each other and we were pretty evenly, you know, matched, it made me feel a lot better about my talents and gave me more confidence. And I think that's only helped propel us into running as well as we have. And unfortunately we're behind him on points now, so we gotta do a little catch up. But you know, one bad weekend and you fall that many spots and points, it makes it tough. It just shows you how tough this Nationwide Series really is right now.
How big a relief, though, was it for you to get that win at Bristol? I mean, every guy wants to win. Everyone's here because they're trying to do their best. But how much of a weight off of your shoulders was that, and how big a confidence booster was it? It sounds like you got a lot of good things going for you, but winning has to be the pinnacle.
Oh, it was definitely the pinnacle. You know, last year we spent all season and we felt like we had the equipment, we felt like we had the team to do it, and we got really close. You know, there was some races that we felt like we could get in victory lane, and you know, I maybe made a mistake on the racetrack or a pit call or, you know, bad pit stop. Something kept us out of victory lane for quite a few of those races. But on the majority, we spent from 5th to 10th and raced on a weekly basis there. And not that that's a bad thing, because, you know, when you can race there week in and week out, that's a pretty decent finish.
Sure.
It got us 6th place in points. It got us Rookie of the Year. But it didn't get us that win. And I think that that's the one thing we all felt like as a team we were lacking. To call a season a success, you don't have to have a win, but it adds an exclamation point to the end of it.
Oh, yeah.
So to get it early on in the season, and we feel like we've got the opportunity to win more. You know, we've got a great race car here this weekend at Texas. And so, you know, we need to step up our game even more and try to get in victory lane as many times as possible this year.
Justin, you talked a little while ago about Paul Wolf coming on, and we all know that it seems like everything Paul touches really turns to gold. He was with the 11 car last year, really had Mike Bliss and those guys flying, all top 5 finishes. How much has he added to the game at Penske Racing with you and Chad to make these cars run the way they're running right now, especially your car? I mean, he's got Brad. We know Brad's a good driver, knows he's won before, but man, it looks to me like he's really helped everything.
Well, I'll tell you, one thing that's really cool to me is you've got Steve Addington on the Cup side coming over. You've got Paul Wolf on the Nationwide side. You've got 2 guys that were highly sought after when they became free agents. They came over to the Penske Racing organization, and I think that only shows you how good our team has, or how much potential our team has to move forward, because they both saw a lot in the whole organization. So I think that bodes really well. One thing that I think really is important with Paul is the fact that he brings maybe a different idea. You know, coming from the Toyota camp and you know, having CJM and having a lot of different drivers last year. I think he was able to bring a different outlook on life. But the other thing that I think helped is, you know, last year I didn't get a crew chief until, you know, basically the end of December, and we weren't even going to run full-time in the Nationwide Series until January 20th, I believe. So we didn't have time over the winter to build, you know, a multitude of cars. We were really just working on the few cars that we had in our shop. We didn't have much of a budget. And when Verizon came on board, you know, that got us the full season. So we were a bit behind the 8 ball all last season. So to add Paul and Chad together, put them in a room, and you sit down with all the tools that Penske Racing has to offer, you create a deadly duo of guys that are extremely smart, and they're able to spend all winter working on these race cars. So I think that more than anything, that's been the biggest help.
Well, when we get this race in today, Justin Allgaier will roll off 18th, 51 points out of the lead behind his teammate Brad Keselowski. Still many races to go. Best of luck to you. Thanks for stopping by.
Thank you very much. We got a long way to go, but the guys have assured me we qualified 30th at Bristol and we won the race.
That's right.
So
Exactly.
18th's, you know, 9 9 spots or 11 spots ahead, I guess.
Yeah,
12
that's
spots.
right. You're there.
I got a feeling you'll be just fine.
I hope so. We had a good car in practice. That's all that matters.
Cool.
Now, in case you were wondering, it is a bit damp here at Texas Motor Speedway, but not everyone is disappointed. We've got some kids outside playing in the rain. We all hope it dries up, though, including this next guy, Stenhouse Jr. Why he says he just ran the most pressure-packed lap of his career. That is coming up in just a bit. Welcome back to NASCAR Countdown, and welcome back to Texas Motor Speedway. In case you're wondering, we're in a bit of a holding pattern here as we wait for things to dry out at the racetrack. And while we are in this holding pattern, our Dave Burns has caught up with Mike Wallace.
And he's 9th in points right now, Nicole, and it seems like a lot of the garage these days are doing a lot with a little. Mike, how is Johnny Davis Racing doing that? You're 9th in points.
Well, we are 9th in points, and a lot of it has to do with Johnny and Lori Davis and the whole race team. Is we don't have much sponsorship on board, but we're very excited this weekend that, you know, we're putting things together at the last minute, and literally you're talking about a program that come together on starting Thursday afternoon, and we have a casino.
You bought a casino?
Bought a casino, yes. Choctaw Casino and Resort. Nice place we got here, right? But we really appreciate them coming on board and putting things like that together. But the biggest thing really is that Johnny's a hardcore racer, always has been, and has taken parts and pieces that, if you want to say, other people get rid of, dispose of, auction off, whatever, and it takes and turns them into a really good race car. And we've outraced a lot of people all year long. I'm not saying we outrun them, but we've outlasted them and, you know, outfinished them. And it says a lot for the team and the effort that's being put forth, and having a great time doing it.
Got to bust on Johnny just a little bit, because when you guys were at Bristol, Mike laid down not a stellar qualifying lap. You immediately went to saying, I gave you a not-so-great car. He came right back at you and said, nobody blame themselves. We're building something here. Mike, what do you know about this race team that maybe Johnny was in doubt of at that moment?
Well, you know, I'm honestly not used to ever driving for an owner or a team that they take the burden. Well, you know, if there's not a good qualifying lap, it's, well, you didn't do a good enough job or something like that. And Johnny's the first one to admit. It makes me feel really good that, look, I got all the faith in the world in you, but the end result is maybe I didn't give you the best car, or I didn't do something proper, or, you know, when I use the word proper, meaning maybe missed something in air pressure. And like I say, we're building together. We're overachieving right now in a pretty big fashion. You know, you look out here, we're sitting 10th in points right now, 9th in driver points, and for our program, that's really good. So we're going to win together. We're going to crash together. We're going to qualify good together. We're going to qualify bad together. But the nice part, he's got such great enthusiasm to it. And it makes me feel so comfortable. I come to the racetrack. We're locked in the race. I go out and do the best job I can. We work really hard on our race setup. And, you know, that's what makes it good. And if I don't get a great lap, I'll tell him I screwed up, or he'll say something, and we'll just go, okay, and you're the man, you're the man. And so we're going to do well. Right now, you know, going back in Charlotte, my daughter Lindsay, though, is trying to make $1 million for her. She's standing in line trying to become a contestant for Wheel of Fortune. Her and Carla are standing at Dale Jarrett Ford auditioning for Wheel of Fortune. Can you believe that?
So, but she's going to give you the money? Is that a done deal if she gets on there and wins?
Well, I don't know. I guess she's got to get on and in and to the finals. I says, if you can play that game as good as you do at home, it's a home run. We're going to make it.
Well, they've not gambled a lot here this year. They've been a great early season story, and their parking spot here on pit road is very solid right now for Johnny Davis Motorsports and driver Mike Wallace.
Casino.
Rusty, I swear he might be a better salesman than you.
He's hey.
Now let me ask you this, because honestly, until just a few hours ago, I had no idea what the phrase "to throw a steer" meant. Now, if you were in the same boat as me, we're all about to learn something. I should also tell you this: no animals were hurt in the filming of the following feature.
Hey, I'm Stenhouse Jr., and I drive the number 6 City Financial Ford Fusion, and I'm here to hang out with a couple of my buddies who are going to teach me to rope, ride, and wrestle. Tell them what we're going to do today, guys.
Well, today we're going to teach you how to shoot dog.
And what exactly is that?
We're going to show you how to throw a steer.
Gotcha. Let's do it. I guess we can watch you do it, and I'll give it a shot.
All right. It's going to be fun.
Here we go. Shane, you could have made it look a little easier than that. I need to get in a position to look like that when we get done. Or I can get down there and act like I did it.
That's a workout.
All right, so what are we going to do with this?
First, we got to show you how to swing it.
Yeah. All right.
All in the wrist.
I got it.
You're actually going to put your finger on your rope like that.
Okay.
And that helps you control it and where you're going to throw.
I got it. Now Shane's going to give me a few techniques on riding a horse. This is Cheetah.
Might want to keep a hold of her so she don't take off while you get yourself
Flop
up
it
there.
over. Can she speak English? Turn her right. Just whichever way she feels, that's the way I'm trying to turn her.
You know, that's a different kind of horsepower than you're used to.
My race car is a little smoother ride than this.
I don't know. I've seen the way you drive. It might not be. Well, Ricky Stenhouse Jr. had a good day today being a cowboy. You know, I think every good cowboy needs a belt buckle to wear. I think you've earned that.
And a hat. It's time to do the work now.
Thanks, everyone. Come again. That's good.
I don't even know where to start on that one. Are you wearing the belt buckle?
I do not have it on. Do not have it on today.
Well, obviously, someone who says to you, well, I've seen the way you drive. Clearly, you know them. How do you know those two?
They're good buddies of mine. They live in Mooresville, North Carolina, and they're on a professional bull riding tour, and I enjoy going to those. And any chance I have a weekend off, ride down with them. I think the last one I went to, we were in Tampa, and I think we fit 9 of us in a Suburban all the way back. So.
Well, here's what we do know. Ricky Stenhouse Jr. likes to rope, ride, and wrestle. But if you didn't know, here are a few more did you knows. He's 22 years old. He's from Olive Branch, Mississippi. Before he drove for Roush Fenway Racing, he signed up with Tony Stewart in 2007 for the USAC Silver Crown Series. And, of course, the following year he signed with Roush Fenway. That was in 2007. He finished 4th in the 2008 ARCA standings with 3 wins. And here we are with him now in the Nationwide Series. He won the pole in his 6th Nationwide Series start, which was in Iowa in August of 2009. Now, we did hear you say this yesterday. That pole, that qualifying run, was a big run. But what you did yesterday, you put that car in 5th in a must-qualify on-time situation. Why was that lap yesterday the most pressure-packed lap of your career?
Well, it was a tough one. We've got to be in the race to get back in the top 30 in points. And, you know, Jack gives us the equipment to do it. So, really, we just got to go out there and do it. And, you know, you're not going to gain points not in the race. So that was definitely a tough one for us.
Now, you talk about Jack. I mean, he's really put a lot of effort into it, and you really help him. I'm interested to see, Brad, what he's got to say when I ask him, what do you think about risk versus reward? Mm-hmm. When you went to Jack and said you're going to ride a bull, what'd Jack have to say about that one?
That was one that I think we, you know, it's kind of if something happens, you know, you go ahead and do it and ask for forgiveness later, you know what I mean?
So you didn't ask him, right?
We didn't ask.
You know, Ricky, yesterday, I mean, right before you strapped in to go make a qualifying run, I was talking to you, and I asked you, I said, you know, how much pressure do you feel? You've had a tough year, a lot of expectation. And you told me, you said, look, a lot of this has been my fault. I put myself in some bad situations, and I'm taking the blame for it, but from here on out, we're going to go get them. I mean, that's a great attitude to have for a young man. But tell me about the pressure. You telling me a little bit about it, but tell the people out there about the pressure you felt.
It's tough because, you know, this business is all about performing. Jack Roush expects us to perform. He's got a great company that he's got set that, you know, wins races, wins championships. And for him to be behind me 100%, takes a little bit of the pressure off of it. We had a dinner at City Financial's house last night, and they're behind me 100%, just like Jack is. And Jack's not really worried about us going out and winning races right now. He wants us to go out there, get comfortable, make laps, and which is, you know, in my head, I'm thinking, yeah, he really wants us to go win and run top 5s and contend for wins each and every week. But you know, I got to look at the big picture, and we got to get experience. And you know, the first 5 races, we're not getting experience in the garage. The guys, you know, they're busting their butt trying to get us back on the track to gain points, and that's just not where we need to be.
Well, you did finish 9th a week ago, and you came in here, put the car in the field, well into the field in 5th. How important and how much does momentum mean to you right now?
I feel like the momentum's going to come, especially after last weekend. Getting that top 10, I think that was big for our guys. It after the race, it felt like a win for us. After crashing in the first 5 races, it was just awesome to finish that whole race, bring the car back, no scratches, one piece. We can work on that car instead of rebuilding the car. We can make it better for the next race. And I think that's a real key. Now that we're going to get races in a row here, I feel like we're going to be pretty good.
Ricky, Jack comes to Mooresville or Concord, North Carolina, I noticed, about every single Tuesday. He sits down with the team and talks to them and stuff. Are you in all those meetings every Tuesday with Jack and listen to what he's got to say?
Yes, sir, for sure. He's that's what I like about Jack Roush is he's really hands-on. He wants to see us succeed, but he's not calling us on the phone to do it. He's in the shop. If he needs to make moves within the team, within the shop, he does that, and he's had great success at it. And some of those meetings are rough, but after Phoenix, I don't mind going in there.
Do you get to rely on your teammates much at all, and Colin Brown and Carl? Are you able to utilize those guys?
Yes, sir. After the first practice, Thursday, went in and talked to Carl. We talked about what my car was doing, what his car was doing, and just really was able to maybe get some good things from his car, and he followed me a couple times, and after practice came over and was like, hey, you might want to try this, you might want to try to arc the corner out a little bit more, and then most of the time he's running over to the Cup cars, so therefore me and Colin, he's only in the Nationwide Series, and we'll talk. Neither one of us are a veteran, but we can still relate back and forth to make our programs better.
Brad, that's a real kind man right there. He always keeps calling you sir.
I know it, man.
I'm glad he's not calling me ma'am, though.
Old, man. But that's cool. This is a good young man right here.
He's a nice fella right there.
Before we let you go, you going to go back to throw a steer anytime soon? Or is once enough?
They've tried getting me on the bull a few times. I go out to where we did that piece, stands, Stegall Arena there in Concord, every Sunday night, and they tell me that I can ride if I wanted to, but I don't think City Financial or Jack Roush or Ford would like me to do that. So.
It's smart. Just be that way. Thank you, Ricky Stenhouse Jr. Coming up next, we're actually going to complete the lineups here at Texas Motor Speedway. We have a couple of teams. Roush Fenway's Colin Brown joins us, and then we'll be joined by Rusty's guy, Brendan Gaughan, as well as Scott Lagasse. It's all from Texas Motor Speedway as we are hoping things dry out so we can hit the track for a little racing.
Where's them rain tires everybody's so proud of?
Now, if you are in this neck of the woods during this particular weekend, you know this for a fact. This area comes alive, and part of the kickoff to the Texas race weekend was Colin Brown and Bobby Labonte meeting up with the Texas governor, getting a little honor, and yes, shooting some guns. Colin Brown is now standing by in a not-so-wet area of the track with Colin Brown.
We're at his hauler right now. It's nice and dry here, but we were getting dripped on. But he is a local. This is considered your home track here. You've been here 4 times in a truck, 3 top 5s. Finally, you're in a Nationwide car. What do you think about this place?
Well, I love racing here at Texas. I think we've had some really good results back in the past in that number 6 Conway Freight Ford F-150 truck, and hopefully we can have the same thing if and whenever we get this race started.
Now, let's talk about points. Ricky Stenhouse Jr., your teammate, we've been watching him, and he talked about a little bit about what the pressure's been like to be outside of the top 30 and having to qualify on time. What is it like to go back there? The meeting's on Tuesday. What is Jack telling you?
Well, I think the biggest thing Jack's been telling both of us is we got to finish these races. We got to be inside the top 30 in points, because sitting out here, you're so vulnerable to something bad happening. That you may not start, you may get, have an accident in the first lap or two, and not make these races, and that's something we just can't do. So definitely feel a little bit more pressure when you're outside the top 30 in points, and that's been our big goal the last couple races, to try and get back inside that top 30.
Well, you put the nerves aside, went out there, good qualifying effort. He will roll off 11th when we go green. Vince?
How you doing? Standing by with Brendan Gaughan, having some fun out here. The only things you can do in the rain, you're pitching quarters, you're making faces, you're doing all kind of things. But couple pretty good weeks for you guys back-to-back. You've gained 13 positions in points the last 2 weeks, a 10th and a 4th back-to-back. How good's that feel after the start you guys got off to?
We had good Toyotas to start the season, too. It wasn't like they were bad. We were running top 10 at Daytona when the wreck happened. So, we've had good stuff. It does feel real good. Coming to Texas where, everybody's talking about the 4 wins in a row. I got my own 4 wins in a row, too. It was Camping World Trucks, but it's still 4. I'd love to get another one and put my name on the Nationwide books and, Lone Star title owns on this weekend, and everybody wants the Spaceballs jokes from the Mel Brooks movie. You know, and Kyle's won 4 in a row, and somebody asked me if I was running. I said, first of all, if I'm running close enough to Kyle, I'll be really happy, because that means I'm in the front, but I'd love to throw, the raspberry out at him and jam him up.
Yeah, good luck with that.
Thank you very I just want to be close enough. If I can do it, I'll take it.
You said early in the season, Brad Parrott was hired, your crew chief was hired just before Daytona, and you said you guys speak a different language. It's going to be a while before you can kind of bring those two languages together. How close are you now? Are these back-to-back top 10s an indication that the two of you are in the same neighborhood now?
We're getting better. I mean, that's the hard part is he worked with Rusty for years. He's worked with guys for years that, speak that NASCAR language, and as much as Rusty's beating on me to do it and trying to get me to learn more and more of it, I still don't quite have all of it down, and so it does take a little extra time, but we're getting there. Finally, yesterday I looked at Brad and I yelled and said, hey, put me on the setup I like, because I apparently can't drive this. It's not working for me. It's working for other people. It doesn't work for me right now. Brad said, gotcha. We went through the Toyota notes, found something we liked. We gained almost a second in qualifying. So, I mean, we have some better communication. We have more notes. We're getting it. It's just hopefully we can keep it rolling, because 2 top 10s in a row is pretty darn nice.
Yeah, going in the right direction for sure. Brendan Gaughan qualified 13th for this race. Dave?
And Vince, new guy to the top 10 this week is Scott Lagasse Jr. on the heels of his best finish of the year, 8th last week at Phoenix. What's fueling this charge to the front, Scott?
Man, just a lot of work back at the shop in Nashville. The guys at Baker Curb have been doing a great job. Ford has been helping us a lot here lately, and just it's going to take some time for us to keep going. But great week last week, and looking forward to this weekend.
And you got a wily old racer in your father who was crew chief for the first time last week. Now, is he taking credit for the 8th place finish last week or the 35th place qualifying here today?
Oh, I was pretty hard on him after qualifying here. He's doing a good job, him and Gary, and Jeff, we just had with the COT car coming, we had to get going, and so Jeff's moved over to get that thing ramped up and ready for the future, and Dad was there and has come in and helped, and he's done a great job between him and Gary. It's been a lot of fun, but I was not happy camper after qualifying, because we were really good in practice, looking forward to the race, and we got a little aggressive. We went for the pole and over adjusted a little too much. So.
Well, Scott and his dad have won a lot of races together in the early days. We'll see what they can do with Baker Curb Racing together. Nicole?
Thank you, guys. The whole reason we are sitting here today is because of something that happened back in April of 1971. It was then called the Greenville 200. It will go down as the first televised live race. We revisit that date when we come back. Hanging out live at Texas Motor Speedway. This is NASCAR Countdown. Things are still a little bit damp around here in this area, but we are hoping at the end of this day we hear the engines roar for the NASCAR Nationwide Series here at Texas Motor Speedway. Back in April, on April 10th, 1971, something happened that we can all say thank you to about today. It was the very first race televised live. Things have changed a little bit since then, but this is how it all started.
Donnie Allison throws the block. Cale hits him. He slides. Donnie Allison slides. Bill Elliott is going toward immortality.
Jeff Gordon, winner of the inaugural Brickyard 400.
Jimmy Johnson has now gone where no other driver has ever gone in NASCAR history.
Great moments have been brought to you by the marriage of NASCAR and live television, a relationship that had its start in Greenville, South Carolina, April 10th, 1971.
The pictures you're watching are live. What you see is happening right now, and so it will be from the green flag that starts the race to the checkered flag that marks the finish.
It was the brainstorm of ABC Sports executive producer Roone Arledge. Previous races were edited or tape delayed on Wide World of Sports, but the Greenville 200 would be the first of selected races to be broadcast live, flag to flag. In the booth were old pros, Wide World's host Jim McKay, and National Speed Sport News publisher Chris Economaki.
There wasn't much relationship because television was new to the sport at the time. The sport wanted television, but it wanted it done properly. I wanted to see it elevated, not decimated.
In the pits was Ken Squire, a well-known radio commentator from New England.
The production meeting was relatively simple. You're in the pits, you talk to the drivers, Chris is going to give us the background and the analysis. And Jim McKay carried the load.
Now Isaac up in front is going to make a move. Right alongside David Pearson. Pearson's fighting back. Right side by side, or as they say in the stock cars, dough handle to dough handle.
Well, it's a little football expression applies here, Jim. Bump and run.
Crowd really loving this as Bobby Isaac takes the lead.
It was relatively inexpensive to do and sort of easy to follow in those days because the cars were big old taxi cabs and they had big numbers on them. So they had an opportunity to get on TV.
That's Benny Parsons in car number 72, appropriately yellow from his cab driving days.
McKay was incredible. He made it interesting. Isaac was off and running and just lapping everybody. He kept people watching.
After Bobby Isaac's lap 20 pass for the lead, the race became a rout as Pearson dropped back, Richard Petty dropped further back, and Bobby Allison dropped out. But viewers then saw what would become commonplace in future telecasts: inside interviews and a feeling they were at the race.
Leroy, what about Richard's car? This pit stop that just took place. Well, Richard motioned he was spinning the wheel like this.
Isaac has been picking and choosing his races, Jim, and as of last night did not plan to compete here.
Car number 71 will be the winner of this race. Bobby Isaac of Catawba, North Carolina, coming out of turn 4, headed for the checkered flag, and they're giving it to him now. It's all over.
That broadcast didn't garner big ratings numbers, but Ken Squire would go from a victory lane interview that day to calling the first live flag-to-flag broadcast of the Daytona 500 in 1979, and the call of one of NASCAR's biggest moments.
And there's a fight between Cale Yarborough and Donnie Allison.
It wasn't until the mid-'80s, though, that live, complete telecasts became the norm. And it all started in Greenville, South Carolina, 1971.
What an incredible good job they did with very primitive, if you will, equipment and not much of it. And they still carried the day. They told the story.
Thanks to Mike Massaro on that, but boy, how things have changed in almost the past 40 years. We've picked up a few toys along the way and a great team who today, despite the rain, they are still out there hard at work. Thank you to them. And Marty Reed, as we were just talking, thank you to the guys who started this back in 1971, because if it were not for those guys, none of us, the guys in the field out there working in the rain, Brad, me, you, Rusty, right, maybe even you, Marty, we may not even be here today. And Marty Reed joins us now with Andy Petrie from the scene high above the pit studio. He is in the booth. What do you think?
Well, you're right, Nicole. I mean, when you think about some of the legends of the sport, you mentioned Jim McKay just passed away recently, and you've got Ken Squire, who, by the way, is going to be inducted into the Motorsports Hall of Fame in Detroit in August. Yes, I mean, the legacy that we are carrying on, Andy, is a big responsibility, and it's come a long, long way. You remember the shot of the when they were in the booth? They were looking off of a monitor about maybe 9 to 12 inches, and look at the equipment we have behind us, folks. I mean, it's huge. We've got plasma screens and everything, and makes it a lot easier.
Yeah, they paved the way for this, and you know, watching that race at Greenville, that's a track I actually raced at. And Bobby Isaac, he lived in my hometown. All this was before I was born, naturally, 1971. But anyway, it was, you know, we do carry a big responsibility, and I've always looked up to those guys. I mean, Ken Squire, you hear that voice, and still today, I really look up to him as a pioneer of this business, and I just feel so lucky to be part of it now, to be able to do what I do because of what they've done in the past.
The thing that they started also was that live interview as soon as the driver got out of the car. Think about this. If we could have gone up to Peyton Manning at the Super Bowl as soon as he throws that interception and say, what did you see and why didn't you see the defender coming in? Do you think that would ever happen? And these guys, you know, they know that as soon as they get out of that car, whether they like it or not, we're all going to be there, because the fan has become so accustomed to feeling that close to them. And there you see the video right there with Ken Squire, you know, doing the interview.
Yeah, and we thought the bump and run, that we kind of invented that. I heard it. I heard him right there at Greenville Pickens say it. Chris Economaki said the bump and run from an old football kind of statement.
And Nicole, look at how it's changed. I mean, here you are. leading the way along with several other women who have come into the sport. That would have been unheard of back in the 70s. If you could get rid of those two deadbeats sitting next to you, ratings would really go up.
Yeah, I mean, the thank yous really do.
I resemble that remark.
You know, the things really do. The thank yous really have to keep going. I mean, we've got so many things. We've got the NASCAR Craftsman Tech Garage. Yeah. We've got Tim Brewer in there hanging out with a whole mess of toys and a camera crew.
Yeah, Andy, I hate to blow your horn there, but you've raced there. I was there and watched that race in '71, so you know. But there again, you can't not say enough for the guys at ABC Sports, because along with that race, we ran a race at Bowman Gray Stadium with the Grand American cars and a guy by the name of Jim Pascal. He won that, and Mr. McKay, he was there with that race also. So, you know, if you go back to history, I read a lot of books on that, Andy.
You are history.
Thanks, Peter. I really appreciate that.
I love you, Tim.
Oh, yeah, I know you do, Andy.
And that's the thing. I mean, you heard Marty Reed say it. The thank yous continue because I'm sitting here in this position, and I'm a very lucky girl just to be in this position working with, yes, you two, but also just to be in the position because we are some of the lucky people that we don't have to go to work. We get to go to work. Yeah. Whether sometimes we complain about it or not, at the end of the day, we really do get to go to work.
Oh, very, very fortunate and blessed to be able to do what we do. And you look back, as I look back, I mean, obviously I'm a lot younger than Andy and Tim, but I do remember as a young man going to Greenville Pickens a lot to watch races. I've watched Andy race there a lot, and a lot of great memories. And I can think back to 1979, of course. We always talk about the Daytona 500, and I tell my story of being sitting on my mother's couch with the plastic still on it because she wanted to keep it new, and watching the race go full circle, not the interruptions of the wide world of sports. And how much that I'm sitting here today and I get to talk about racing, something I grew up and fostered a love of as a young man, and I get to sit here and be a part of it. I mean, it's a blessing.
Well, I love listening to you. You're pretty interested in listening, no doubt about that. You know, we're at a production meeting this morning. They were talking about rules, and NASCAR walked up to me and gave me a little piece of paper, a single piece of paper. Yeah, where's it at?
Here it goes.
Get that paper back over here.
Here we go.
Look at this. This used to be the NASCAR rule book. That's how thin it was. There's things in it like you must be strapped in.
That's rule number one.
You must be strapped in. You got to take the bumpers off and the mufflers to compete.
You can weld any part that you want to keep it adhered to your car.
Rule number 3, no foreign manufactured cars allowed in the series. That's it.
That's incredible. It's amazing.
You know, the sport has come so far, and I love the folks at NASCAR so much. And the competition, we talk about it all the time, how good the competition is. I got to tell you, the competition this year I've been watching, starting off with the Daytona 500, has got to be the best I've ever seen. People think about the racetrack tearing up in 1 and 2. I don't think about that. I think about the entire week leading up to it, the great runs they had. I look at Jamie McMurray, a first-time winner there. That was fantastic. And then going on to Vegas and going on to California. Brad, this momentum has not stopped here. This has been a great year racing.
Oh, it really has. And if you really think about it, sports in general, that's why we're all attracted to sports, is because at the end of the day, it comes down to people and how they react and what they do. And there is nowhere in any sport that's more prevalent than in racing, because even though we're running wheel to wheel and trying to get these machines to run 200 miles an hour at peak performance, it's all about how we treat those machines. It's all about the people, the pit stops, the individuals who work on these race cars, and the drivers. It's all about performance, it's all about people.
But let's talk about the important part here, because, you know, let's talk about who's the oldest among this crew. Now, I personally wasn't alive in 1971 or 79 for that baloney. But you know what? Tim Brewer may have been around. In fact, let's
Tim Brewer was around.
Nicole, I've been around for a long time.
You were racing dinosaurs.
Yes, you were.
I watched a program on TV last night from that other network, but it had Mr. Bill France on there, and it had some clippings of the 1969 Talladega race. But the first race wasn't run at Talladega. On Sunday, we ran a Bama 400 there with Richard Childress and Ernie Shaw and a lot of guys in Grand American cars, the Mustangs, the Camaros, the Javelins. But Mr. France walked down to that garage area the next day after the event, and he said, hey, these guys down here are scared to run this race, and they got a union and all this. Hey, would you guys stay tomorrow and run that race? So there was a lot of us that stayed there, and I was a 14-year-old kid at that time, Andy, and drove Ernie Shaw and Richard Childress' car up there, and we unloaded, and hey, we ran the race the next day. But as far as being old, I'm not going to say they're old. They're just Southern gentlemen. That's Dr. Jerry Punch. And I think Marty, he might have 10 years or so on me.
No way, bro, because I found out I went in the record book. You were crew chief on Fred Flintstone's vehicle back then. So forget that, Nicole. He's the man.
Hey, bottom line, everyone, thank you very much. It's been fun. Very, very fun. But just speaking of fun and speaking of age, look what we found. Is that our legend right there?
What are you doing, bro?
But it's not
Hey, that was a fist cough and a cigarette in his mouth. He's ready.
First winning as an owner. We'll be right back at Texas Motor Speedway, but tonight the NBA playoffs continue on ESPN with 2 first-round games. First at 8 Eastern, Dwayne Wade and the Heat face Paul Pierce and the Celtics. Then 10:30 Eastern, it's the Jazz taking on the Nuggets. First round of the NBA playoffs on ESPN and ESPN3.com. That is tonight. Back at Texas Motor Speedway, we have to say thank you again to 2 soldiers who we met earlier today, Major Jerry Gascoigne and Major Eric Earnhard. Now, these 2 are huge Dale Earnhardt Jr. fans, and we are told that earlier today they did get the opportunity to meet their favorite driver. And we have to say thank you because tomorrow both of these men leave for service in Iraq. So again, we cannot thank you enough. During the rain delay and our holding pattern here, all 4 pit reporters have been very busy, including our Doc Punch, who is standing by with what's a Wallace family reunion. Now we've got Kenny Wallace.
We'll finish up our journey through the Wallace family here, Nicole. And you were just showing earlier how for many years people have been coming to the racetracks because of the passion and love of the sport, not necessarily because they had enough sponsorship to be here. Now, what you guys have done with this 28 team is remarkable this year. How in the world are you sitting 23rd in the points with little or no funding?
Something my brother Rusty taught me a long time ago. Of course, my dad, Russ, passed it down to him. You know, simply put, to be a racer, you know, you have to be given that title. And we're a racer. I'm for sure a racer. And, you know, we have a little money. I think we had $5,000 at Nashville. And this is a true story. We had $1,600 last week at Phoenix. I went to Chad Knaus. I said, Chad, I need 2 sets of tires. I went to Ryan Pemberton, got 2 sets of tires, and we finished 21st, you know. So I think Stephen Wallace, my little nephew's the last one to have a sponsor. He's 19th in the points, and everybody else down there has just got plain white cars. But, you know, thanks to people like Michelle Duck here, we've got a great sponsor on the car this week. It's, you know, it's near and dear to our heart. Her daughter lost her life when she was just 5 days old.
That's the Chloe Duck Foundation, yeah.
Chloe Duck Memorial Fund, and then go to www.hopefortinyhearts.com. So come here, Michelle. This lady called me up and she says, Kenny, you're a good race car driver. You've won a lot of races. How do you not have a sponsor? And I said, well, it's rough out there. She said, well, I want to draw attention to you know, this fund. And so she got on the car, she gave us money, and we've got tires, so we're going to race hard.
And what a great story here. Chloe Duck, and obviously trying to bring awareness to infant heart disease. Let's go to Vince.
Standing by with Tony Raines, and still hoping that the weather will cooperate for us. When you say rains, it's no pun intended in this condition. But hey, what, you guys come off a 14th place finish at Phoenix, season best. I know you were 14th early in the season at Daytona. What kind of shot in the arm was that for you guys to have the good run last week?
Well, we'd had a couple weeks that were, you know, less than desirable, so it was good. We had a good car, we qualified fair, and we were running pretty good in the race early, and we got overheated and had to go to the back and pit early, and that kind of hurt us. But we managed to get back up in there and get a you know, top 15 finish, which is, you know, sort of our minimum goal for each race. And you know, it was fun. We raced really hard with Reed there at the end with 20 to go, but you know, we had a pretty good car in race practice here and didn't qualify real strong. But you know, I'm afraid we might not be racing until Monday, but we'll you know, hopefully when we get to race, that we'll have a good race.
We're going to think positive and hope that it's late today, but we'll see what that does. Jason Keller's come on as a teammate for you. How has that affected the team dynamic, and what do you hope that it achieves down the road?
Well, you know, when you have two, obviously the mode is for most people to have multi-car teams. That works better when they're both going well, and unfortunately they've had a little bit of stumbling out of the block. You know, missed Daytona just because of the luck of the draw, and had a good car, and you know, I think it'll get going though. I mean, it's hard to get a new team started, and when you have bad breaks like they've had, it makes that mountain a little higher. But he's more than capable driver, and we've got a good team on both sides, and it's just a matter of getting the ball rolling. And right now, they haven't been able to get the ball rolling the way they'd like. So, we'll try to keep notes and make everybody involved and get things going, but it'll come around eventually.
Certainly hope the 34 continues to roll in the right direction. It's Tony Raines and Long John Silver's on the car. Let's go to Dave Burns.
And Vince Michael Annette started the year strong with a 12th place finish at Daytona. Since then, it's been a little up and down. And last week, a practice crash, and then during the race, brake failure and tire going down. How do you get this thing back on track?
I think we just got to pretty much look back to the week before at Nashville, where we ran the top 10 all day, and actually the top 5 for most of the race, and had a really a good 9th place finish. And last week was just a little bit of a hiccup, and we brought a really good car here, a car that ran in the top 10 at Vegas. So we're happy with the way the weekend's gone.
I may have heard the most creative way to take care of the rain delay here. What did you just end up doing an hour ago or so?
Yeah, we were sitting back in the coach, and everybody's a little hungry, a little thirsty, so we went up to exit 64, the local Pilot Travel Centers, and my buddy Brian Mosier was with me, who's actually from Pilot, and he kind of showed me the perfect concoction for a Pilot Travel Centers coffee, a little, I think he said it was House, Colombia, and Sumatra, and we brought it back to my dad, and he said it was the best cup of coffee he's ever had, so I guess you got to bring the actual Pilot people with you to figure it out.
All right, Jamie, you got that? House, Colombian, and Sumatra. I'll have a double, please.
You are the coffee expert there, Mr. Dave Burns, and coffee sounds really good about now. James Busher joining us, one of the younger drivers in the field that we've had a good time watching you come up through the ranks, the good, the bad, the ugly. You qualified 33rd, though. You say the car is better. What happened?
Car was just too loose in qualifying. We just got it freed up too much from where we were in practice. During practice, qualifying trim, I think we were about 15th, but race trim, I think we were even better than that. And, just can't get it tightened up enough for qualifying, and have to start in the back and work our way back up and finish up front. But when I started with this team in November here, it was my first race with Phoenix Racing, we started pretty close to the back and finished 11th. So I know we can get up there and run towards the top 10 and try to get us a good finish. So we'll work our butts off once we finally get to race. If this rain would hold off, we could get going and try to get ourselves up there and get a good finish.
One of the topics today, of course, talking to the younger drivers, talking about the pressure that you guys are under. You guys are unsponsored. You just have a #1 on the side of your car. What is it like for you week in and week out, knowing that you have to perform to impress the sponsors and to keep a ride?
Oh, it's definitely a performance-based industry, so you have to perform to keep your job pretty much. And, James Finch has told me that I'm good with Phoenix Racing throughout the year, and I got to thank him for doing that for me and, sticking with me. He knows I'm an up-and-coming driver. He's given me a chance and to try to make it in this sport. And, I think that we're capable of getting up and running in the top 10 and getting those finishes that we deserve. We've ran really well just about every race this year. And, the last 4 races, we haven't had the finishes to show it. So we need to start finishing some of these races where we deserve to finish and go from there throughout the year.
All right, sponsor or no sponsor, James Busher is in the #1, and that's a good place to be, Nicole.
Thank you, guys. Puddles, but still fans in the stands here at Texas Motor Speedway. We're hoping to get the race in today. Coming up next, we'll talk to the guy who helped put Emporia, Kansas on the map. Clint Boyer joins us next. Hoping that we hear the engines fire here at Texas Motor Speedway. But thanks for hanging out for us while we're in this holding pattern. But don't go anywhere, because coming up next is SummitRacing.com NHRA Nationals from Las Vegas. That's on ESPN2. Qualifying is next. Finals coming up tomorrow at 7 p.m. Eastern. Then NASCAR Now returns on ESPN2 tomorrow, 9 a.m. Eastern. And of course, next Sunday, we are back with the NASCAR Nationwide Series, the Aaron's 312 at Talladega. That is Saturday, 2:30 Eastern on ABC. Now, before there was a driver named Clint Boyer, we may not have known about this small town in Kansas, Emporia, Kansas, but courtesy of him, we have a better idea of not only where it is, but what the town is all about. Clint Boyer takes us home.
Clint Boyer is driving to victory lane. Clint Boyer sneaks in and steals one here tonight at Richmond.
He's really put this town on the map. It used to be just nothing but a crossroads of Kansas, but now it's Clint Boyer's town now.
It means so much to me to come back here to Emporia because there's been so many people that influenced me and gave me money, sponsored me, whatever the case may be.
I think he means a lot to Emporia. He's a hometown boy that's living his dream.
This is my first race car right here. She's been sitting here a while. Don, the muffler man, went over there and he built me a roll cage in it. We had a seat and we was we went racing. You know, in my career, I've only rolled I think twice, and this was one of them, and I did it my second time ever racing. So learned what not to do right off the bat. I'm a normal guy working in a body shop, going to the Cup race once a year, watching that, and racing on weekends. You know, as a hobby racer. This was that's my baby. We haven't touched it since last time I raced it. They washed it and left it there. This is, you know, an IMCA modified. It won a lot of races and had a lot of fun and a lot of success in this thing. So we just kind of kept it. Still got the motor in it. Still ready to go. And we come down here and you know, spend every night of my life right there in that corner and working on my dirt car to get it ready, or the asphalt car, whatever car we had, you know, that we were racing that weekend. And that was a normal life for me. This is the Ford dealership here that I worked at. It's the body shop. You know, I used to do paintless dent repair here. And then, you know, the guys would, you know, we do any kind of body work. This looks like hail damages, hail repair.
He still kind of remembers his roots. I mean, you know, he's obviously not going to have to go back to pulling dents if this ended tomorrow, but, you know, it's, he remembers what it feels like to go to work at 7:30 in the morning and work all day and sweat.
See, I had a job. It's my name tag. He used to make me wear a name tag all the time. God, it sucks.
Just tell me business cards you used. He was handing them out right now. These were all on eBay too. They didn't bring nothing.
It's neat to be able to think back, all the people that helped you and exactly how you got here. You didn't have a pile of money. You didn't have a last name. And, you know, we did it the old-fashioned way.
Of course, Boyer takes part in both the NASCAR Nationwide Series and the Sprint Cup Series. Has made a total of 300 and some starts between the two series. And, of course, he did win the 2008 NASCAR Nationwide Series championship. Between the two series, he's combined for 10 wins. And joining us now in the studio, we kind of have both ends of the field here. We've got Clint Boyer, who's starting second, and Greg Biffle, who's starting 42nd. But we won't get to that in a second. I want to talk to you both because we did just see how you grew up. You kind of, both of you, did this the old-fashioned way, much like Brad Keselowski. You came up the ladder. Why was that a program that worked for both of you? Clint, we'll start with you.
Well, I feel like, you know, racing has been good to me and my family, but I feel like NASCAR has done a good job of creating stepping stones to get younger drivers like myself, like Brad Keselowski, you know, Greg Biffle, to the next level. And you know, certainly that's how we did it. You know, you race at the local dirt track on Saturday nights and beating up and down the highway, and that led to asphalt, you know, racing, and that led to touring racing. We got into the touring level and, you know, learned pit stops, learned, you know, how to handle pit road and things like that, how to handle long races. You know, that was another thing I'd never done before. And then on to, you know, Richard seeing me race at the ARCA race in Nashville, and then led to my, you know, job at RCR. So it's just, you know, very proud of being able to race up through the ranks. But, you know, it's nice that a driver can do that as well.
Well, that's your side of the story. Greg's side of the story looks a little bit like this as we take a look at some of his numbers in both the Sprint Cup Series and the Nationwide Series. You've got a few more starts. You're pushing the 500 area and a lot of wins. 34 wins between the two series. Why did this ladder system, working from both the Truck Series to the Nationwide Series up to the Cup Series, work for you?
Well, I mean, it's same as what Clint was saying. You know, you start out, you know, on a local family level, Friday, Saturday night. I started a lot higher than he did. I didn't start dirt race, and I went right for the asphalt. We didn't have a lot of dirt tracks, and not saying either one is more, but you know, my first car was a '74 Ford Torino. So it was started out hobby stock or street
Always
stock.
Had to be a Ford, man.
Yeah, that's right, baby. Running on Friday and Saturday night, and you know, it was great. I loved doing it. You know, like Clint said, you know, it was just, you know, 7 days a week, you know, 15 hours a day. That's what we did. Is we loved to race, and I know that's what Rusty did, and
everybody else that seemed like they, you know, worked that ladder. And I started out the Truck Series and then moved to Nationwide, now the Cup Series. So it's been a good long road. I don't think I'd change it for anything, the way that, you know, I got my start till today.
This is a question for both of you guys. Do you still have your own race shops? Do you have a shop still with your car, and you too, Greg? Or
Yeah, well, you saw my dad's towing shop. The race car that we raced back then is still there. But my dirt team, you know, that's what I love to do. We're still racers at heart. I love being at the shop. They don't let me work on the car as much anymore. I just pretty much pick up after them and pay the bills. But we have a lot of fun. I enjoy being around the race cars and being around a team. It kind of, you know, gets you back to the old way of racing like we grew up doing.
You know, you hear a lot of guys say that they miss, you know, the old Saturday night bull ring racing. And here you guys, you know, Greg, you're a veteran. You've been around for several years. You've got a few years under your belt. And as a professional athlete looking at it, do you guys still enjoy it? Or does all of the stuff that you have to do at this level somewhat cloudy it up? I mean, can you still...
Depends on how you're running.
Yeah, that's
great
true.
answer.
It's a good answer, yeah.
But there's a lot of stuff. I mean, you guys have got, you know, sponsor commitments. You got to run here. You've got to test. People don't understand everything that goes into being you guys. You just don't show up and strap in and go race.
But I really do believe that it comes back to how you're running. You know, don't always have the car to beat. Yeah. And, you know, it's very hard work. We're still racers at heart. That's what, you know, the only thing we've known since I was 4 years old is racing and competing. And when you can't compete up front and compete the way you want to, it's miserable. When you're running good, bring it on. Yeah. I'll do whatever you want me to do.
When you look at how you've progressed, there are people, there are moments that have helped get you to where you are now. But is there one moment, one big break that kind of has put you to where you are right now?
I mean, for me, it was that Tucson Winter Heat Series, and that's where Dale Earnhardt hired Ron Hornaday from, was that Tucson Winter Heat, and that, you know, really got me my start. You know, I went down there and won 2 track championships in the Northwest in the same year, one Friday night, one Saturday night, and then went to Tucson and raced that Tucson Raceway Park, and went down there, was real successful. You know, about 80 cars showed up, and we qualified well and ran well and won that series 2 years in a row, and that really got me my opportunity. You know, that was kind of it for me.
What about you?
Yeah, it's probably 2002 for me, racing in the weekly racing series. Again, Friday night we won a championship on dirt, and Saturday nights across the river in Kansas City we won an asphalt championship at I-70, and that was the year that, you know, pretty much told me, hey, I think I can make a living doing this. This is what I want to do. And, you know, the following year, a single race at, you know, Nashville is where Richard saw me. So, you know, it's just timing, and everything has to come together. Stars all have to align.
You know, it looks like both you guys built your own cars, worked on your own cars, understood your own cars, and really hands-on. A lot of these young guys aren't that way nowadays. With you building the cars and really getting into it, it looked to me like you guys are basically plug and play. They put you in those cars, you won right off the bat. Did it really help you a lot, you think, understanding your own car so much?
I really think it did. You know, I built cars for about 5 or 6 years before I got my opportunity, and that's what we did, you know, week in and week out. I built not only my cars, but I built a lot of cars for other people. I ran a business doing that. And so, you know the car from the ground up. And, you know, it's neat to see guys, you know, get into that and do that and work through that and get their way into the sport.
Well, Clint, you know, you're sitting here today wearing the Zaxby's hat because you're in the car for John West Townley. We should tell you that, you know, he was in the accident last week, pulled out of the car. Richard told us yesterday he's still employed by RCR as a development driver, but Townley will not be in the car this weekend or next weekend. He is one of those young drivers out there, like the Ricky Stenhouses and the Colin Browns. How or what advice would you give to them so that they can get to where you guys are?
Well, I think right now, you know, they all have to. Times are tough right now. It's very hard to get sponsorship. You've got to be able to go out there, compete up front, and run well. But you have to be able to bring the car home in one piece, you know. And I see a lot of these rookies right now tearing a lot of equipment up, and that's scaring not only sponsors, but that's scaring owners. You know, I mean, Rusty, he's an owner. He knows exactly what we're talking about. You got to be able to bring these cars home in one piece and be able to run all the laps and learn from that week in and week out.
Greg, what do you think about that?
Yeah, I mean, that's the biggest thing is the experience. You're not gonna get the experience if you're in the garage fixing the thing on lap 20. You know, and you know, so many of us make the mistake early. I know I did. You know, you just get over anxious. You're so used to running 30-lap races. You know, this race is 200 laps. So on lap 30, you don't have to race the car like it's the last lap. You know, sometimes you need to calm down a little bit, realize, hey, I got 3 or 4 pit stops left.
Yeah.
I got a long ways to go. I need to learn about what my car is doing now, think about how I'm going to fix it. You know, on this pit stop, I think I'm going to take some wedge out, and I'm going to see how it handles differently, you know, on the next run. And you got to get that experience in order to make it up the ladder.
But in a situation where the economy is tight, so there is limited room for error, and there's no testing, how do you get that experience? How do you learn when you can't put the car in a certain situation? I mean, how do you learn to make mistakes without actually being able to make mistakes?
Well, I think it's just like Greg said. Don't get me wrong. I have my own boneyard behind the nationwide
I think we all
shop
do.
at RCR. Yeah, I had a lot of cars that I tore up, but you know, you got to be able to learn from your mistakes. You know, no different than we ever did, and get them things home in one piece. You know, that's the biggest part of this. Is you know, we were doing a broadcast yesterday, and I was looking at Mike Wallace. He's 9th in points. There's a guy. He hasn't had the fastest car all year long, but he's taking care of his stuff, and he's 9th in points because of it.
Gentlemen, thank you very much for joining us. As we mentioned, when we finally do go green, Clint Boyer will start 2nd, and then there's Greg, who will start all the way back in 42nd.
I'll see him later on.
Good luck to you.
But if you had made that corner, you'd have been on the pole.
I think it was my fault. I was talking to him right before he went out, and I said, Greg, can you hold it wide open around through here? And his lines, he said, yeah, I think I can.
He did. He did. Trust me.
Guys, thank you very much, and we are not quite done yet. We'll be back in just a few minutes to wrap things up. As you can see, still the holding pattern because of those clouds and what they've produced on the racetrack. Puddles. We'll be back. And welcome back to Texas Motor Speedway. As you can see, things are a little too quiet for race day, and there is a reason for that. Clouds, rain all day have put us into a pretty gigantic holding pattern, but also, as you can see, there are many, many fans still hanging out. Those are loyal, die-hard fans, and this is what we're up against. As we take a look at the radar, that green has pretty much been there all day, but as we were commenting just a bit ago, it's almost like parting as it hits Texas Motor Speedway. So for that reason alone, we are hoping that this is not the end. Later on today, we are hoping to hear the engines roar. Ramsey Poston, the VP of Communications for NASCAR, joins us now. What's the protocol? What's the update?
We're still giving it everything we can. This system for a while was moving and looked very optimistic, and then it has stalled here in the last couple hours. But from NASCAR's point of view, we're going to do everything we can to get this race in. You think about the fans that are sitting out here in the stands, fans that are home and watching on TV. We've got, you know, so we're going to do everything we can to go it here, and we're giving it our best shot.
So if we run out of, obviously, daylight and we get the lights on, I mean, how late can we go? How late will we stay here to try to get this race in?
Well, the factors you look at is, what are the weather conditions? Is the sun going to come out? At this point, probably not. So how long does it take to dry the track? We've got Eddie Gossage and the Speedway here have a ton of jet dryers here. As soon as that rain stops falling, we can get the dryers back on track, start blowing it, and at that point, it takes 2 to 3 hours to get done. So we're going to keep looking at that and make the best call we can as soon as we can.
Sure.
At this point, as we did mention, we were looking at the radar. It has not been raining, at least for a little bit. It does take those 2 to 3 hours. Is there a timeline for when we could see the track dryers out there?
As soon as it stops raining. I just walked over from the NASCAR hauler.
Still raining?
Yeah, it's still coming down. So we're still holding out, and we're going to do everything we can to get it in.
Worst case scenario would be?
Worst case scenario, we wouldn't have the race today. We would move it to tomorrow. But at that point, we haven't made that decision. So we're still holding out hope for tonight.
Ramsey, is that kind of historical, though, when they have it after a cup race on a Sunday? I don't think I've seen that in a long time.
It's happened a couple times, not very often, but
Richmond, I believe.
Yeah, I think we did in Richmond one year. Yeah. So, but still, we're looking at Saturday. We want to get this race in today, if we can.
Good deal.
Gentlemen, thank you very much. Ramsey, thanks for coming by. It's been fun. It's been a few hours of fun up here.
You've had a few interesting interviews.
Here's what we're going to do. Keep in mind, we're going to send you off to the NHRA SummitRacing.com Nationals qualifying from Las Vegas. That is coming up next. We will update you every half hour, and this is a promise. If they go green here from Texas Motor Speedway, we will be back. Gentlemen, thank you very much. thank the crew for hanging out in the rain all afternoon. Thank you to the guys in the truck who have been able to direct this circus out here. Brad, Rusty, it's been fun. Thank you for hanging with me for my first NASCAR countdown in the show that followed. Off to NHRA, SummitRacing.com, NHRA Nationals in Vegas. Hopefully, we will see you soon. Welcome back to Texas Motor Speedway. Nicole Briscoe joining you one more time. The rain has again started to fall, this time slightly harder, and that is a scene you don't like to see before the race has been run. NASCAR Nationwide Series crews packing up for the day, and it is official. We can now tell you the O'Reilly Auto Parts 300 has been rescheduled. It will not be run today. We'll be back with you tomorrow, Sunday, ESPN2. The Nationwide Series race will run at 9 p.m. Eastern after the Cup Series race. And when we finally do get underway, this is how they will line up. Joey Logano will start on pole for the third time, this season. Boyer in the 2 spot, driving for John West Townley, and Kyle Busch in his drive for 5 straight wins lines up 3rd.
That'll be great. Jason Leffler, one of our regulars, has a great qualifying spot from the 6th spot. And look at Paul Menard starting 9th. He's had an outstanding run this year in the Nationwide Series.
So we'll see you tomorrow night at 9 Eastern on ESPN2. Now back to the NHRA SummitRacingNationals.com.